Hello, everyone, and welcome to our reading of The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. Tonight we have playing Frodo, Casey, playing Gandalf the Grey will be myself, Hunter, playing Samwise Gamgee is Zach, playing Strider / Aragorn is Walter, Pippin is going to be Kate, Mary, Joshua, Gimli, Jeremy,
Rah.
Legolas, Curtis, Boromir, Eric, Arwen, Anne, Saruman, Joe, Gollum, as well as several hobbits and other characters for us tonight. Keeland, Elrond, Jack, several other hobbits and elves. Tonight is going to be Molly. Our action description is going to be coming from Logan. Bilbo Baggins will be played by Sarah, and Galadriel will be played by Marla. And let's just go ahead and jump in because it's a long one, folks. Take it
Alright.
away.
We'll just slip this on and here we go. We'll get ourselves going. All right. Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. A black screen. Black continues, elvish singing. A woman's voice is whispering, tinged with sadness and regret.
EMR presenten IN Hanmason Nenen Hanmason Uche Ahan Nastan Ned Willis. The world has changed. I feel it in the water. I feel it in the earth. I smell it in the air. Much that once was is lost, for none now live who remember it.
Super Lord of the Rings. Exterior prologue day. Image, flickering firelight. The Noldoran forge in Eregion. Molten gold pours from the lip of an iron ladle.
It began with the forging of the great ring.
Image, 3 rings, each set with a giant gem, are received by the High Elves, Galadriel, Gil-galad, and Círdan.
3 were given to the elves, immortal, wisest, fairest of all beings.
Image, 7 rings, held aloft in triumph by dwarf lords.
7 to the dwarf lords, great miners and craftsmen of the mountain halls.
9 rings clutched tightly by the kings of men, as if holding close a precious secret.
And 9 rings were gifted to the race of men, who above all else desire power. For within these rings was bound the strength and the will to govern each race.
Fade to black.
But they were all of them deceived.
Fade up. An ancient parchment, map of Middle-earth. Moving slowly across the map as if drawn by an unseen force, the camera closes on a place name, Mordor.
For another ring was made.
Sauron forging the one ring in the chambers of Samath Nur.
In the land of Mordor, in the fires of Mount Doom, the Dark Lord Sauron forged in secret a master ring to control all others.
The one ring reflecting the fiery lava. Fire writing emerges on the plain band of gold.
And into this ring he poured his cruelty, his malice, and his will to dominate all life.
The one ring falls through space and into flames.
One ring to rule them all.
A great shadow falls across the map, closing in around the realm of Gondor. Screaming villagers, men, women, and children run from their homes, pursued by armies of hideous orcs.
One by one, the free lands of Middle-earth fell to the power of the great ring.
Fade to black.
But there were some who resisted.
Isildur, son of the king of Gondor, leads an army across the plains of Dagorlad.
A last alliance of men and elves marched against the armies of Mordor. On the slopes of Mount Doom, they fought for the freedom of Middle-earth.
Battle of Dagorlad. The elf lord Elrond commands rack after rack of elven archers.
Take on Nohade! Lethio! Epilion! Hold positions and fire the arrows!
Teasing shots, arrows firing, orcs retreating before the army of the last alliance. Elendil, king of Gondor, holds aloft a great sword, Narsil.
Victory was near.
The huge, dark figure of Sauron, bearing the one ring on his finger, looms over the fields of battle.
But the power of the ring could not be undone.
Sauron lays waste to the armies of the Last Alliance. With desperate courage, Elendil leads a charge. The black mace of Sauron lashes out. Elendil's body falls like a crumpled rag doll. Isildur cradles the body of his father in his arms. The shadow of Sauron falls over him.
It was in this moment, when all hope had faded, that Isildur, son of the king, took up his father's sword.
Isildur snatches up the broken blade of Narsil. The blade severs Sauron's fingers, and the One Ring flies from his body.
Sauron, the enemy of the free peoples of Middle-earth, was defeated.
Sauron's armor clatters to the ground, his body gone, vaporized. Close on Isildur as he picks up the severed finger and removes the One Ring, transfixed.
The ring passed to Isildur, who had this one chance to destroy evil forever.
Gladdened field, Isildur reaches a small column of men through the darkening woods, the One Ring glinting on a chain around his neck.
But the hearts of men are easily corrupted, and the ring of power has a will of its own.
Suddenly, arrows fly. They are ambushed by orcs. Isildur is thrown from his horse. Isildur stumbles to his feet and in a panic puts on the ring and disappears. Invisible Isildur flees from the battle and jumps into the river Audin. Isildur materializes under the water and the ring slips slowly from his fingers. He grasps for it, desperately. Orcs on the riverbank spot him in the water. They fire a barrage of arrows into him. Isildur jerks. Ripples of light play across Isildur's pale face. He is dead.
It betrayed Isildur to his death.
Isildur floats down the river, arrows lodged in his back. The ring falls from the murky waters of the river Aldin into oblivion.
And some things that should not have been forgotten were lost. Thus, a third age of Middle-earth began. History became legend. Legend became myth.
Fade up. The waters of the Aldin River lie dark and undisturbed.
And for 2,500 years, the ring passed out of all knowledge.
Silt swirls. A thin white hand reaches down, grasping the ring.
Until when chance came, it ensnared a new bearer.
The thin white hand opens to reveal the One Ring. Mist-shrouded mountains.
The ring came to the creature Gollum, who took it deep into the tunnels of the misty mountains.
The gloom of the mountainous cavern, a murky pool of water. In the darkness, the shadowy outline of the emaciated figure.
And there it consumed him.
A raspy voice mutters in the half-light.
The ring gave to Gollum a natural long life. For 500 years it poisoned his mind, and in the gloom of Gollum's cave, it waited.
Beneath, or bathed in cold moonlight, a world lies dark and still, the unsettled quiet before the storm.
Darkness crept back into the forests of the world. Rumors grew of a shadow in the east, whispers of a nameless fear. The ring of power perceived its time had now come. It abandoned Gollum.
Unseen by the keeper, the ring falls to the muddy floor of a mountain tunnel.
But something happened then the ring did not intend.
Fumbling in the dark, a small hand closes over the ring.
It was picked up by the most unlikely creature imaginable.
What's this?
A youngish-looking Bilbo Baggins peers down what lies in his hand, perplexed by what he has found.
A hobbit, Bilbo Baggins of the Shire.
A ring.
Suddenly, a voice screams, its anguish ringing through the cold, dank tunnels.
Lost! Lost! My precious is lost!
Frightened, Bilbo quickly pockets the One Ring and hurries on. Dissolve 2, wide on, the camera soars away from the mountains, moving faster and faster, their dark green forests and jagged white peaks receding into the shroud of mist.
But a time will soon come when hobbits will shape the fortunes of all.
Dissolve 2, close on the map of Middle-earth, we move from the misty mountains to Hobbiton.
22nd day of September in the year 1400 by Shire reckoning, Bag End, Bagshot Row, Hobbiton, West Farthing, the Shire, Middle-earth, the third age of this world.
Pull back on the map to reveal, angles on. The map rests on the floor with several other maps, books, scrolls, and other similar items of research. Camera tracks down through the hall. We find Bag End shares this decor throughout its modest halls. Super, the Fellowship of the Ring. Interior Bag End study, day. Angle on, Bilbo sits at his desk, pen in hand.
There and Back Again, A Hobbit's Tale by Bilbo Baggins.
Close on, the book. The lettering in the book reads exactly as Bilbo has dictated. He turns to the next page, which is blank. Angle on, Bilbo considers his words carefully.
Now, where to begin? Ah, yes.
Close.
Concerning
Bilbo dips his pen in the ink and begins writing.
hobbits.
Exterior, Hobbiton Day. Wide on, the small village of Hobbiton is a quaint rustic settlement nestled amongst rolling green hills and large trees. The hobbits live in hobbit holes, neat burrows dug into the grassy hillside, with round doors and cute front gardens. A montage of shots under Bilbo, hobbits plowing fields, smoking pipes, serving food, woodworking, leading pigs, milking cattle, tidying their porches, and of course, sleeping.
Hobbits have been living and farming in the four farthings of the Shire for many hundreds of years, quite content to ignore and be ignored by the world of the big folk. Middle-earth being, after all, full of strange creatures beyond count, hobbits must seem of little importance, being neither renowned as great warriors nor counted among the very wise.
End montage. Interior, Bag End study, day. Bilbo laughs. He turns to a knock at the door. Wide on Bilbo in his study.
Frodo, someone at the door.
Bilbo turns immediately back to his writing. Exterior, Hobbiton Day. A hobbit, when faced with the decision between a kiss and his sweetheart and a muffin, chooses the muffin.
In fact, it has been remarked by some that hobbits' only real passion is for food.
A hobbit carries a barrel of ale on his shoulder, refilling his mug as he walks.
A rather unfair observation, as we have also developed a keen interest in the brewing of ales
Several hobbits sit around smoking pipes.
and the smoking of pipeweed.
Hobbits carry their fresh-picked crops. Hobbits engage in leisurely game. Hobbits gardening.
But where our hearts truly lie is in peace and quiet and good-tilled earth.
Image. Samwise Gamgee sits in front of his house, admiring his flowers.
For all hobbits share a love of things that grow.
Near a tree, or near a large old tree, hobbits raise banners and tents. Others bring in barrels of ale.
And yes, no doubt to others our ways seem quaint, but today of all days, it is brought home to me. It is no bad thing to celebrate a simple life.
The hobbits raise a large banner that reads, Happy Birthday, Bilbo Baggins. Others applaud. Interior, Bag End study day. Angle on Bilbo looking up, annoyed at yet another knock to interrupt him.
Frodo, the door!
His call is met with silence.
Sticklebacks, where is that boy?
Exterior, Hobbiton Woods day. Two hobbit feet are resting on a small rock, rising out of the long, overgrown grasses.
Frodo!
Camera tracks to a figure who lies beneath the dappled sunlight of an old tree. White flowers are scattered amongst the well-seeded grasses. An idyllic setting at the end of a long, hot summer. The figure is reading a book. On the soundtrack in the distance, growing louder over the gentle clip-clop of the approaching cart and horse, can be heard the humming of a deep voice to the tune of The Road Goes Ever On and On. Suddenly, a figure in the grass sits up, looking straight at camera. Looking straight at camera is a handsome young hobbit with dark curly hair and deep blue eyes. This is Frodo Baggins, his eyes alight with excitement. Tossing away a long stem of grass in his mouth, Frodo runs off. Cut to exterior Shire Lane day. The cart rattles along a leafy lane, driven by a stooped figure in gray. Intercut with shots of Frodo running, careening down a hill, jumping over logs, dodging tree branches. Angle on the shambling old pony as he snorts and rears, as suddenly Frodo appears on the bank above the cart.
You're late.
Close on Gandalf, who glowers at the young hobbit.
A wizard is never late, Frodo Baggins, nor is he early. He arrives precisely when he means to.
They look at each other for a moment. They both start laughing as Frodo's face breaks into a smile and he leaps into the front of the cart.
It's wonderful to see you, Gandalf.
Next to Gandalf, we see how small hobbits are. Frodo is 3'6" tall.
You didn't think I'd miss your Uncle Bilbo's birthday.
Cut to exterior Hobbiton Fields day, wide as the cart rattles past the field lupin being tended by hobbits.
What's new in the world? Tell me everything.
Gandalf looks down at Frodo, a twinkle in his eye.
What everything? Far too eager and curious for a hobbit. Most unnatural. Well, what can I tell you? Life in the wide world goes on much as it has this past age, full of its own comings and goings, scarcely even aware of the existence of hobbits.
Close on Gandalf as he surveys the peaceful scene before him.
For which I am very thankful. So, how is the old rascal? I hear this is to be a party of special magnificence.
You know Bilbo, he's got the whole place in an uproar.
Well, that should please him.
Half the Shire's been invited, and the rest of them are turning up anyway.
Wide on the cart as it rattles over a stone bridge towards a busy hobbit marketplace.
And so life in the Shire goes on, very much as it has this past age, full of its own comings and goings, with change coming slowly.
Hobbits look up in wonder and excitement as the cart bearing Gandalf and Frodo rolls past the Green Dragon Inn.
If it comes at all. For things are made to endure in the Shire, passing from one generation to the next.
Crane up. The cart rattles in the small village of Hobbiton, a quaint, rustic settlement nestled along the rolling green hills and large trees.
There's always been a Baggins living here under the hill in Bag End.
Interior Bag End study day. Angle on Bilbo, who stops writing again and looks up, thoughtful.
And there always will be.
Exterior Hobbiton Fields day. Angle on Gandalf and Frodo, continuing for their destination.
To tell you the truth, Bilbo's been a bit odd lately. I mean, more than usual. He's taken to locking himself in his study.
Bilbo picks up a map of Middle-earth.
He spends hours poring over old maps when he thinks I'm not looking.
Angle on Bilbo, who folds up a map and puts it down. He pats his pants pocket. Suddenly, he looks worried. He pulls his pockets inside.
Sorry, where's it gone?
Quick cuts. Bilbo desperately searches for something. Under cushions, in his pockets, through coats. Angle, he removes his hands from his vest pockets and stops, relieved. Close, as he removes a hand from his pocket, his missing item clenched tightly in his fists. He holds it to his mouth, grateful to have not lost it. Cut to exterior Hobbiton Fields day.
He's up to something.
Frodo shoots a knowing look, and Gandalf averts his eyes.
All right then, keep your secrets.
What?
But I know you have something to do with it.
Good gracious me.
Before you came along, we Bagginses were very well thought of.
Indeed.
Never had any adventures or did anything unexpected.
If you're referring to the incident with the dragon, I was barely involved. All I did was give your uncle a little nudge at the door.
Whatever you did, you've been officially labeled a disturber of the peace.
Oh, really?
Angle on Odo Proudfoot, who looks up at the cart as it passes by, deeply suspicious. Cut to exterior Hobbiton day. Crane up, excited children chasing after the cart. Gandalf ignores the children's cries. The children stand deflated, watching Gandalf disappear up the lane. At that moment, spinning balls of bright color suddenly leap out of the cart, fizzing over the heads of the delighted children. Gandalf smiles to himself, well pleased on his joke. Odo Proudfoot is unable to suppress a chuckle. Frodo stands up in the cart as Gandalf reins in the horse.
Gandalf, I'm glad you're back.
Frodo leaps expertly from the cart. Gandalf smiles.
Oh my, dear boy. So am I.
Cut to exterior Bag End day. Wide on Gandalf's cart as it pulls up beside the gate at Bag End. A particularly fine example of a hobbit hole with a large round front door set in a grassy hillside. There is a sign on the gate which reads, "No admittance except on party business." Gandalf strides up the garden path of Bag End. He raises his staff and raps on the front door. A voice calls out.
No, thank you. We don't want any more visitors, well-wishers, or distant relations.
What about very old friends?
Suddenly, the door opens and Bilbo Baggins stands before him. He is a hobbit of indeterminate age, with a mischievous twinkle in his eye. Wearing a dashing brocade waistcoat, he looks every inch an eccentric gentleman.
Gandalf?
Bilbo Baggins.
My dear Gandalf.
Gandalf drops to his knee to embrace his old friend.
Good to see you. 111 years old. Who would believe it?
Gandalf looks at him more keenly.
You have an age today.
Gandalf and Bilbo laugh together and enter Bag End.
Come on, come in. Welcome, welcome.
Cut to interior Bag End living room day. Bilbo leads Gandalf into Bag End, cozy and cluttered with souvenirs of Bilbo's travels. Gandalf has stooped low to avoid hitting his head on the low ceiling. Bilbo hangs up Gandalf's hat on a peg, and trots off down the hall.
Tea, or maybe something a little stronger. I've got a bottle of the old Wynyard locked away.
Bilbo disappears into the kitchen as Gandalf looks around, enjoying the familiarity of Bag End. He turns, knocking his head on the light, and then walking into the wooden beam. He groans.
I was expecting you last week. Not that it matters. You come and go as you please. Always have done, always will. You've caught me a bit unprepared, I'm afraid. We've only got cold chicken, bit of pickle, some cheese here. Ooh, no, that might be a little risky.
Gandalf stops in front of a framed map, charred in one corner. It is Thorin's map of the Lonely Mountain. Gandalf smiles to himself.
We've got raspberry jam and apple tart. Got some custard somewhere. Not much for afters, I'm afraid. Oh no, we're all right. I've just found some sponge cake. Nice little snack. Hope it's enough. I could make some eggs if you like.
Bilbo jumps, a half-eaten pork pie in his hand, as Gandalf mysteriously appears behind him.
Just tea, thank you.
Oh, right. You don't mind if...
No, not at all. Go ahead.
A sudden loud knock on the front door.
Bilbo Baggins, you open this door.
I'm not home.
Bilbo tiptoes to the window and peeps out.
It's the Sackville Bagginses.
I know you're in there.
They're after the house. They've never forgiven me for living this long.
Gandalf watches, amused, as Bilbo tries to hide.
I've got to get away from these confounded relatives hanging on the bell all day, never giving me a moment's peace. I want to see mountains again. Mountains, Gandalf. And then find somewhere quiet where I can finish my book. Oh, tea.
So, you mean to go through with your plan, then?
Yes, it's all in hand. All the arrangements are made.
Frodo suspects something.
Of course he does. He's a Baggins, not some block-headed brace-girdle from Hardbottle.
You will tell him, won't you?
Yes.
He's very fond of you.
I know. He'd probably come with me if I asked him. I think in his heart, Frodo's still in love with the Shire, the woods and the fields, little rivers.
Bilbo stands gazing out of the kitchen window.
I am old, Gandalf.
Bilbo looks at Gandalf sadly.
I know I don't look it, but I'm beginning to feel it in my heart.
Close on Bilbo's fingers, close around his waistcoat pocket, gripping a small unseen object.
I feel thin, sort of stretched, like butter scraped over too much bread. I need a holiday, a very long holiday, and I don't expect I shall return. In fact, I mean not to.
Cut to interior Bag End, evening. Gandalf and Bilbo were sitting on the Bag End porch. Below them, final preparations are being made on the party field. Bilbo strikes a match and lights his pipe.
Old Toby, the finest weed in the South Farthing.
Bilbo blows a perfect smoke ring and watches it rise into the air. A tiny sailing ship with masts and sails glides through the center of Bilbo's smoke ring.
Oh. Gandalf, my old friend, this will be a night to remember.
Cut to exterior party field, Hobbiton night. Boom! A firework explodes in the night sky high above Hobbiton, in the shape of a great green tree with unfolding branches. Tilt down, with glowing flowers as they rain down from the branches, evaporating just above the upturned faces of the delighted partygoers. 144 hobbits, feasting and drinking carts of beer and wine, are scattered about, and the tables are piled high with steaming scones and savories. Gandalf scurries about, lighting fireworks with a blue spark that dances magically from his staff. Bilbo is greeting visitors.
Hello, Fatty Bolger, lovely to see you. Welcome.
Frodo and Sam sit at a table drinking ale. Frodo notices Sam's eyes keep flickering to another pretty hobbit, Rosie Cotton, sitting some distance away.
Go on, Sam. Ask Rosie for a dance.
I think I'll just have myself another ale.
Oh, no you don't. Go on.
Sam goes to drain his glass. Suddenly, it's snatched out of his hands as Frodo thrusts him into the middle of a passing throng of dancers. Sam's horrified face as he is swept away. Frodo laughs and finishes Sam's beer. Angle on Gandalf as he sets alight a particularly spectacular firework that draws gasps of admiration from the party guests. Close on Bilbo as he's relating a story of the adventures of a group to young hobbit children.
So there I was, at the mercy of 3 monstrous trolls. Have you ever heard of a troll? Do you know what a troll is? Great big, nasty, 20-foot-high, smelly things. And they're arguing about how they were going to cook us.
A little hobbit girl's upturned face, her eyes growing larger and larger.
whether it be turned on a spit or minced into a pie, or whether they were going to sit on us one by one and squash us into jelly. They spent so long arguing the Withertooth and the Y-Force that the sun's first light cracked over the top of the trees and turned them all to stone.
Stunned gasps from the young audience greet his astonished feat. Close on Merry and Pippin, two mischievous young hobbits in their late teens. Pippin scrambles into the back of Gandalf's wagon, snatching up a small firework.
No, the big one.
Pippin grabs a huge rocket. Merry smiles. The pair run off with it. Angle on Bilbo, continuing to greet his guests. He shakes hands with a woman who is tailed by an overwhelming crowd of children.
Mrs. Bracegirdle, how nice to see you. Welcome. Are all these children yours?
Miss Bracegirdle laughs with tired eyes and nods.
Good gracious, you have been productive.
Miss Bracegirdle laughs and nods. Suddenly, Bilbo's ears are assailed by a familiar, strident voice.
Bilbo?
Bilbo quickly runs to Frodo.
Sackville Bagginses, quickly hide.
Bilbo and Frodo quickly hide behind the wall of a tent. Angle on Otho and Lobelia Sackville Baggins, an older, grumpy-looking pair with sharp eyes, emerge and look about the party like vultures looking for prey. Angle on Bilbo breathes a huge sigh of relief.
Thank you, my boy.
Frodo chuckles.
You're a good lad, Frodo.
Frodo stares at his uncle, perturbed by the change of tone.
I'm very selfish, you know. Yes, I am. Very selfish. I don't know why I took you in after your mother and father died, but it wasn't out of charity. I think it was because of all my numerous relations. You were the one Baggins that showed real spirit.
Bilbo, have you been at the Gaffer's homebrew?
No. Well, yes, but that's not the point. The point is, Frodo, you'll be all right.
Bilbo lifts his mug and takes a drink, probably of the Gaffer's homebrew. Fireworks fuse, crackles with flame. Angle on Merry is holding out a giant rocket. He looks aghast as the fizzing fuse that Pippin has just lit.
We're supposed to stick it in the ground.
It is in the ground.
Merry
Outside.
cheerfully tosses the rocket to Pippin. The fuse sizzles angrily.
Outside!
This was your idea.
Pippin attempts to throw the fizzling rocket back to Merry. Whoosh! The two hobbits are suddenly blown off their feet in a shower of sparks as the rocket blasts off with frightening power. Angle on the rocket. As it zooms over the party, it suddenly bursts apart, forming the shape of a great red golden dragon. Fire gushes from its nostrils as it turns back and flies towards the startling crowd. Close on Frodo as he watches the fireworks dragon with alarm, but Bilbo is oblivious of the panicking crowd with impending danger.
Bilbo, watch out for the dragon!
Dragon? Nonsense. Hasn't been a dragon in these parts for 1,000 years.
Angle on Frodo as he hurriedly pulls Bilbo to the ground, just as the dragon roars a few feet over their heads like a flaming express train. Hobbits dive to the ground, tables overturn, tents collapse, food flies everywhere. The fireworks dragon turns a somersault and explodes over the hills with a deafening bang. This gets the biggest cheer of the night. Angle on Merry and Pippin, clothes and hair smoking.
That was good.
Let's get another one.
Large hands suddenly clamp down on Merry and Pippin's ears. Low angle, Gandalf looking down sternly.
Merida Brandybuck, and Peregrine took. I might have known.
Cut to, Merry and Pippin are leaning over a barrel, washing dishes in soapy water, with Gandalf sitting nearby, smoking his pipe and sipping an ale. Cries of speech, speech erupt from the crowd. Angle on Bilbo stepping up to a stool. He bows in gratitude at the applause.
Speech!
My dear Bagginses and Boffins, Tooks and Brandybucks, Grubs, Chubs, Burrowses, Hornblowers, Bulgers, Bracegirdles, Goodbodies, Brockhouses, and Proudfoots.
Angle on a hobbit with a particularly large feet.
Proud feet!
Proudfoots. Also, my good Sackville Bagginses that I welcome back at last to Bag End.
Angle on Otho and Lobelia, scowling at Bilbo. He doesn't care.
Today is my 111th birthday. I am 111 today. Yes, and alas, 111 years is far too short a time to live among such excellent and admirable hobbits.
Tremendous outbursts of approval.
I don't know half of you half as well as I should like, and I like less than half of you half as well as you deserve.
Scattered clapping as the guests try to work out if that was a compliment or not. Close on Frodo and Gandalf, smiling to themselves. Close on Bilbo. A strange hum seems to fill his head. A bead of sweat rolls down his brow. Bilbo's hand pulls something out of his waistcoat pocket and holds it behind his back.
I have things to do and I've put this off for far too long.
Close on Bilbo's knuckles turning white as he tightens his grip on the small object behind his back.
I regret to announce this is the end. I am going now. I bid you all a very fond farewell.
Bilbo looks across at Frodo, hesitates, then
Goodbye.
Bilbo instantly vanishes. The party explodes into an uproar. The crowd leaps to its feet. Angle on Frodo, staring at an empty stool in disbelief. Cut to exterior Bag End night. The party is still in excited uproar, some 50 yards away as we pan across the moonlit lane to the front door of Bag End. The door opens, pulled by an invisible hand. Interior Bag End night. The door quietly opens. Bilbo materializes as he pulls a plain gold ring off of his finger. Bilbo laughs as he tosses the ring into the air, then places it in his pocket. Angle on Bilbo emerging from the passage, carrying a walking stick. He finds Gandalf looming over him.
Suppose you think that was terribly clever.
Come on, Gandalf. Did you see their faces?
There are many magic rings in this world, Bilbo Baggins, and none of them should be used lightly.
It's just a bit of fun. Oh, you're probably right, as usual. You will keep an eye on Frodo, won't you?
2 eyes, as often as I can spare them.
I'm leaving everything to him.
What about this ring of yours? Is that staying too?
Close on Bilbo. He gives Gandalf a look and nods toward the mantelpiece.
Yes, it's in an envelope over there on the mantelpiece.
Gandalf frowns at the empty mantelpiece. Bilbo suddenly feels his waistcoat and looks with a look of guilty surprise.
No, wait. It's here in my pocket. Isn't that odd now? Yet after all, why not? Why shouldn't I keep it?
I think you should leave the ring behind, Bilbo. Is that so hard?
Well, no. And yes, now it comes to it, I don't feel like parting with it. It's mine. I found it. It came to me.
Angle on Gandalf, who looks down at Bilbo with rising concern.
There's no need to get angry.
Well, if I'm angry, it's your fault. It's mine. My own. My precious.
Precious. It's been called that before, but not by you.
What business is it of yours what I do with my own things?
Bilbo's voice, shape, and manner have suddenly changed.
I think you've had that ring quite long enough.
You want it for yourself.
Gandalf rises to his full height. His eyes flash. His shadow suddenly seems to fill the room.
Bilbo Baggins, do not take me for some conjurer of cheap tricks.
Bilbo cowers from Gandalf, disarmed by his power, a frightened hobbit. Gandalf's expression softens.
I'm not trying to rob you. I'm trying to help you.
Sobbing, Bilbo runs to Gandalf and hugs him.
All your long years we've been friends. Trust me as you once did. Let it go.
You're right, Gandalf. The ring must go to Frodo.
Bilbo lifts his knapsack and heads for the front door.
It's late. The road is long. Yes, it is time.
Bilbo?
Hmm?
The ring is still in your pocket.
Bilbo
Oh.
hesitates and reaches into his pocket.
Oh, yes.
Close on Bilbo, he pulls out the ring. He stares at it in his palm. Then with all of his willpower, Bilbo allows the ring to slowly slide off of his palm and drop to the floor. Close on the tiny ring as it lands with a heavy thud on the wooden floor. Exterior Bag End night. Bilbo staggers out of Bag End. He braces himself in the night air, pale and trembling, as if the loss of the ring has weakened him. Gandalf steps up behind him.
I've thought up an ending for my book. And he lived happily ever after to the end of his days.
I'm sure you will, my dear friend.
Goodbye, Gandalf.
Bye, Bilbo.
Bilbo walks away from Bag End, disappearing into the night. Singing softly, the road goes on and on.
Until our next meeting.
Cut to interior Bag End living room night, close on the ring, glinting on the floor. Gandalf circles around it, a puzzled look on his face. Gandalf slowly reaches for the ring. His fingers barely touch the ring and a creepy hum rises in the soundtrack. Angle on Gandalf sitting in front of the flames with his pipe, staring into the flickering flames.
It's mine, my own, my precious.
Riddles in the dark.
Bilbo? Bilbo!
Frodo rushes into Bag End. He stops and picks up the ring at his feet. Gandalf continues staring into the fire as if locked in thought.
Precious. Precious.
He's gone, hasn't he?
Frodo steps into the living room.
He talked for so long about leaving. I didn't think he'd really do it. Gandalf?
Gandalf turns, his eyes locking onto the ring in Frodo's fingers.
Bilbo's ring.
Gandalf sorts hurriedly through Bilbo's papers.
He's gone to stay with the elves. He's left you Bag End,
Gandalf holds out the envelope. Frodo drops the ring into it.
along with all his possessions.
Gandalf seals the envelope with wax. He hands it to Frodo.
The ring is yours now. Put it somewhere out of sight.
Gandalf rises hurriedly and starts to gather his things.
Where are you going?
There are things I must see to.
What things?
Questions. Questions that need answering.
But you've only just arrived. I don't understand.
Gandalf is already at the door. He turns to Frodo.
Neither do I. Keep it secret. Keep it safe.
Gandalf hurries out the door, leaving Frodo standing alone in Bag End. Continue. Angle on the envelope. The camera pushes in. The hum of the ring comes up at the soundtrack. The camera pushes through the white paper on the ring. Begins to hum with the whispered murmur of black speech that can be heard. Exterior. Barad-dûr, night. The jagged ruins of Barad-dûr, the Dark Tower. Teasing images. The huge Dark Tower of Barad-dûr is being rebuilt. Thousands of orcs crawl over the surface, hauling stone and iron up the towering heights.
Show your patience.
Cut to exterior, Minas Morgul, night. 9 black riders burst out of Minas Morgul and charge towards camera. Exterior, the West Road, Gondor. Wide on a lone horseman galloping across the crest of the hill on the West Road, the main highway south to Minas Tirith. He looks towards the Sawtooth Mountains of Mordor. Wide on Mount Doom, a huge billowing cloud of black filth grows and spreads across the red-streaked sky, casting a shadowy pall over the nightmarish landscape, seeping out across the blood-red sky. Angle on Gandalf, his face grave. He spurs his horse on. Cut to exterior Citadel, Minas Tirith, night. Angle on Gandalf making his way to the lower depths of the Citadel. Cut to interior Citadel Chamber, Minas Tirith, night. Gandalf flips through the pages, searching ancient scrolls and books placed high on a wooden table. His eyes settle on one old parchment. He murmurs hurriedly to himself, reading.
The year 3434 in the Second Age, here follows the account of Isildur, High King of Gondor, and the finding of the Ring of Power.
Dissolve to close on Isildur, triumphant, reaches for the one ring, his eyes fixated on it.
Just come to me, the Ring of Power. Shall be an heirloom of my kingdom. All those who follow in my bloodline shall be bound to its fate. I will risk no hurt to the ring. It is precious to me, though I buy it with great pain.
Close on, elvish lettering on the marks of the faded document in Gandalf's hand.
The marking on the band begins to fade. The writing, which at first was as clear as red flame, has all but disappeared. A secret now that only fire can tell.
Cut to exterior Hobbit farmhouse, evening. Farmer Maggot is chopping wood in his garden, close on, snorting horse nostrils, as the shadow of a black rider looms over the Hobbit house. Terrified, Farmer Maggot cowers in his doorway. Fangs, his dog, whimpers and backs away.
Baggins.
There's no Baggins around here. They're all up in Hobbiton. That way.
The Black Rider gallops away at speed. Cut to interior Green Dragon night. The hobbits of Hobbiton are having a grand evening of ale and song. Angle on Merry and Pippin, mugs in hand, singing and dancing on a table while supporting each other. Angle on Frodo, he retrieves more mugs of ale from the bar and dances around the tavern.
Take it, Molly.
Oh, was that me? Okay. Ho ho, the bottles I go to heal my heart and drown my woe. Rain may fall and winds may blow, but there still be many miles to go. Sweet is the sound of the pouring rain and streams that falls from hill to plains, better than rains or ripping brook.
Is a mug of beer inside this took?
Huge laughter and a clink of mugs. Angle on Daddy Two-Foot, Ted Sandyman, and Sam's father, Ham Gamgee, a.k.a. the Gaffer, involve themselves in the most serious discussion. Sam sits quietly next to his father.
There's been some strange folk crossing the Shire, dwarves and others of a less than savoury nature.
War is brewing. Mountains are fair teeming with goblins.
Angelon Sam smokes his pipe and looks at Rosie behind the bar. She gives him a huge smile.
Far off tales and children's stories, that's all that is. You're beginning to sound like that old Bilbo Baggins cracked he was.
Young Mr. Frodo here, he's cracking.
He laughs as Frodo arrives with drinks.
And proud of it. Cheers, Gaffer.
Well, it's none of our concern what goes on beyond our borders. Keep your nose out of trouble and no trouble will come to you.
Angelon Frodo smiles and raises his tankard. Later, Angelon Rosie Cotton bids the last of the patrons goodnight. Sam meets her eye for a moment as he and Frodo leave the inn.
Good night, lads.
Good night.
Frodo and Sam continue on their way. Behind them, an intoxicated hobbit kneels before Rosie and raises his hand as if worshipping a goddess.
Good night, sweet maiden of the Golden Dale.
Mind who you're sweet talking.
Don't worry, Sam. Rosie knows an idiot when she sees one.
Sam stops walking.
Does she?
Cut to exterior Bag End night. Wide on Frodo farewells Sam outside Bag End and heads towards the front door. Creepy POV from inside Bag End. Frodo coming up the path. Cut to interior Bag End living room night. Angle on Frodo entering Bag End. He immediately pauses, sensing that something is amiss. All is quiet. Frodo peers uneasily into the darkened living room. Suddenly, a large figure looms out of the shadows, reaching for Frodo. Frodo, without a startled cry, pulls himself free and spins around to face his assailant. Gandalf steps into a shaft of moonlight. Paranoia blazed in his eyes. His clothes are dirty and ragged from traveling. Hair and beard much longer and unkempt.
Is it sacred? Is it safe?
Cut to interior Bag End living room night. Frodo pulls the envelope out of an old chest. Gandalf, suspicious, alert. Without a word, Gandalf takes the envelope and tosses it into the fireplace.
What are you doing?
Flames instantly consume the envelope, revealing the ring as it sinks into the red-hot embers. Gandalf reaches into the fire with a pair of tongs. He lifts the ring out.
Hold out your hand, Frodo. It is quite cool.
Gandalf drops the ring into Frodo's hand. He reacts to its weight.
What can you see? Can you see anything?
Nothing. There's nothing. Wait.
Close on the gold band of the ring as fiery letters begin to appear. A tiny inscription glows red, as if burning from within.
There are markings.
Close on Gandalf, still, tense.
It's some form of Elvish. I can't read it.
There are few who can. Language is that of Mordor, which I will not utter here.
Mordor?
In the common tongue it says, one ring to rule them all, one ring to find them, one ring to bring them all, and in the darkness bind them.
Cut to interior Bag End kitchen night. Close on the ring as it lies on Frodo's simple kitchen table.
This is the one ring, forged by the Dark Lord Sauron in the fires of Mount Doom, taken by Isildur from hand of Sauron himself.
Bilbo found it. In Gollum's cave.
Yes, for 60 years the ring lay quiet in Bilbo's keeping, prolonging his life, delaying old age. But no longer. Frodo, evil is stirring in Mordor. The ring is awoken. It's heard its master's call.
At that moment, a fleeting low whisper of black speech emanates from the ring. Frodo looks at Gandalf, each knowing the other has heard it.
But he was destroyed. Sauron was destroyed.
Angle on the ring as it lies between them on the table.
No, Frodo. The spirit of Sauron endured. His life force is bound to the ring, and the ring survived. Sauron has returned. His orcs have multiplied. His fortress of Barad-dûr is rebuilt in the land of Mordor. Sauron needs only this ring to recover all the lands in the second darkness. He is seeking it, all his thought is bent on it. For the ring yearns, above all else, to return to the hand of its master. They are one, the ring and the Dark Lord. Frodo, you must never find it.
Suddenly, Frodo scoops up the ring.
All right.
Cut to interior Bag End living room night. Angle on Frodo hurriedly entering the living room.
We put it away. We keep it hidden. We never speak of it again. No one knows it's here, do they?
Gandalf shifts uncomfortably.
Do they, Gandalf?
Gandalf looks at Frodo sadly.
There is one other who knew that Bilbo had the ring. I looked everywhere for the creature Gollum, but the enemy found him first.
Cut to interior, Barad-dûr night. Close on a teasing glimpse of Gollum being tortured by the orcs, the wretched creature screams in pain.
Don't know how long they tortured him, but amidst the endless screams and inane babble, they discerned 2 words.
Cut to interior Bag End living room night. Close on Frodo's horrified face.
Shire? Baggins? That will lead them here.
Exterior Shire Lane, South Farthing night. Image on a dark country lane. A hobbit bounder lifts his watch lantern in alarm.
Halt! Who goes there?
Out of the darkness thunder 2 black riders. A lethal sword swings down on the small hobbit bounder. Cut to interior Bag End living room night. Frodo thrusts the ring at Gandalf.
Take it. Take it.
No, Frodo,
You must take it.
you cannot offer me this ring.
I'm giving it to you.
Don't tempt me, Frodo. I dare not take it, not even to keep it safe.
Close on the ring in Frodo's hand.
Understand, Frodo. I would use this ring from a desire to do good, but through me, it would wield a power too great and terrible to imagine.
But it cannot stay in the Shire.
No, it can't.
Close on the ring in Frodo's clenched hand.
What must I do?
Cut to Frodo's bedroom night. Angle on Frodo throwing clothes into a knapsack. Gandalf watches him, making plans.
You must leave. Leave quickly. Get out of the Shire.
Where shall I go?
Make for the village of Bree.
Bree, what about you?
I will be waiting for you at the inn of the Prancing Pony.
Frodo packs food into his knapsack.
And the ring will be safe there.
Don't know, Frodo. Don't have any answers. I must see the head of my order. He is both wise and powerful. Trust me, Frodo. You know what to do.
Cut to interior Bag End living room night. Frodo is preparing to leave.
You'll have to leave the name of Baggins behind you. That name is not safe outside the Shire.
Gandalf helps Frodo with his coat.
Travel only by day and stay off the road.
I can cut across country easily enough.
Gandalf looks at the young hobbit, moved by his courage.
My dear Frodo, hobbits really are amazing creatures. You can learn all there is to know about their ways in a month, and yet, after 100 years, they can still surprise you.
Suddenly, a sound from outside.
Get down!
Gandalf freezes. He moves quietly towards the window, eyes wide with tension. He raises the staff above the window and slams it down on an intruder. There's a yelp of pain. Gandalf hauls a small figure into the room. Sam Gamgee sprawls across the floor. He looks up in terror as Gandalf looms over him.
Confound it all. Samwise Gamgee, have you been eavesdropping?
I've been dropping no eaves, sir. Honest. I was just cutting the grass under the window tree, if you follow me.
It's a little bit late for trimming the hedges, don't you think?
I heard raised voices.
What did you hear? Speak.
Nothing important. That is, I heard a good deal about a ring, and a Dark Lord, and something about the end of the world. But please, Mr. Gandalf, sir, don't hurt me. Don't turn me into anything unnatural.
No,
Frodo smiles.
perhaps not. I thought of a better use for you.
Cut to exterior Hobbiton Fields, pre-dawn. Wide on Hobbiton, shrouded in a white veil of mist. Wider to reveal Gandalf, Frodo, and Sam, hurrying across a plowed field away from Hobbiton. Gandalf leads his horse. Frodo and Sam are carrying knapsacks.
Come along, Samwise. Keep up.
Cut to Hobbiton Woods, day. Gandalf leads Frodo and Sam under the cover of woods.
Be careful, both of you. The enemy has spies in his service, many ways of hearing. Birds, beasts.
Gandalf takes Frodo to one side.
Is it safe?
Frodo nods. He pats his pocket.
Never put it on, for the agents of the Dark Lord will be drawn to its power. Always remember, Frodo, the ring is trying to get back to its master. It wants to be found.
Gandalf wheels his horse and gallops away. Cut to exterior Green Hill Country, day. Montage. Frodo and Sam hike over the gentle Shire countryside, wading through a shallow stream, pass by a quaint hollows of hobbit holes, heating a kettle over a small fire, and clambering over stone walls. Cut to exterior Green Hills countryside afternoon. Sam stops short, taking stock of his surroundings. Sam looks back from where they came.
This is it.
This is what?
If I take one more step, it'll be the furthest away from home I've ever been.
Frodo gives Sam a pat on the shoulder.
Come on, Sam.
Sam takes a deep breath and steps forward. Close on Sam's brown furry feet as they hit the ground, Frodo is smiling.
Remember what Bilbo used to say? It's a dangerous business.
Frodo and Sam continue their journey.
It's a dangerous business, Frodo, going out your door. You step onto the road, and if you don't keep your feet, there's no knowing where you might be swept off to.
Cut to exterior Hobbiton Woods night. Sam cooks dinner while Frodo relaxes in a tree smoking his pipe. Suddenly, Frodo turns his head, listening. In the soundtrack, singing. High, sweet voices sing in a strange language. Angle on Frodo as he looks at Sam with a delighted smile.
Sam, wood elves.
Angle on a group of wood elves as they pass slowly through the forest, some on horseback, some walking, some with banners. The group seems to shine of its own light, their white garments softly glowing against the purples and midnight blues of the woods. Their haunting song continues.
Gladden ren I viener hi althirmin. Hang on. Enorath al elbereth gethnolia. Ilthanal thiar ilithun lin hen. O light to us that wander here amid the world of woven trees. O elbereth gethoniel, clear are thy eyes and bright thy breath.
Angle on Frodo and Sam watching the procession from behind a tree.
They're going to the harbour beyond the White Towers, to the Grey Havens.
They're leaving Middle-earth.
Never to return.
I don't know why. Makes me sad.
Cut to exterior Hobbiton Woods night. Frodo appears asleep. Sam tries desperately to find a comfortable spot on the ground.
Everywhere I lie, there's a dirty grapefruit sticking into my back.
Frodo neither moves nor opens his eyes.
Just shut your eyes and imagine you're back in your own bed with a soft mattress and a lovely feather pillow.
Angle on Sam as he looks skeptical, but tries it.
It's not working, Mr. Frodo. I'm never going to be able to sleep out here.
Me neither, Sam.
Frodo smiles. Sam stares to the sky and finds something to nibble on. Exterior, Shire, a hill, night. Wide, on the mist as it descends over a peaceful Shire. Travel back to reveal, a horse neighs and stamps. Its black rider slowly comes to a halt and looks for its prey. Cut to, exterior, Isengard Valley, day. Gandalf is galloping along the outskirts of an ancient forest. The ancient forest of Fangorn. Nestled in the basin of the foot is a disty mountain, or is a tall black mountain of Orthanc is clearly visible. Exterior, Isengard Valley, day. Gandalf gallops through the gate into the forest of Isengard. A great ring wall of stone, a mile from rim to rim, encloses beautiful trees and garden, watered by the steam that flows down from the mountains.
Smoke rises once more from the mountain of doom. The shadow takes shape in the darkness of Mordor. The hour grows late, and Gandalf the Grey rides to Isengard seeking my counsel.
The strange tower of Orthanc, hewn from a solid pillar of obsidian, rises from the center of the Isengard circle. Gandalf arrives at the foot of the Orthanc stairs. Angle on Saruman, the White Wizard, as he sweeps down the Orthanc stairs.
For that is why you have come, is it not, my old friend?
Gandalf moves quickly towards him, grimly and weary from his long ride.
Saruman.
Cut to exterior Isengard Gardens, day. Gandalf and Saruman walk slowly between the beautiful trees of Isengard. Saruman's clean white robe contrasts with Gandalf's dusty gray robes.
Are you sure of this?
Beyond any doubt.
So the Ring of Power has been found.
All these long years, it was in the Shire, under my very nose.
Yet you did not have the wit to see it. Your love of the halfling's leaf has clearly slowed your mind.
We still have time. Time enough to counter Sauron, if we act quickly.
Time? What time do you think we have?
Cut to interior Orthanc antechamber, day. Gandalf and Saruman are sitting at a small, cluttered room at the side of a cavernous central chamber.
Sauron has regained much of his former strength. He cannot yet take physical form, but his spirit has lost none of its potency. Concealed within his fortress, the Lord of Mordor sees all. His gaze pierces cloud, shadow, earth, and flesh. You know of what I speak, Gandalf. A great eye, lidless, wreathed in flame.
The eye of Sauron.
He is gathering all evil to him. Very soon, he will have summoned an army great enough to launch an assault on Middle-earth.
You know this. How?
I have seen it.
Gandalf and Saruman stride through Orthanc toward the stone plinth on which a sphere-like shape is draped with a cloth.
The Planeteer is a dangerous tool, Saruman.
Angle on Saruman as he lifts the cloth to reveal the Planeteer.
Why? Why should we fear to use it?
They are not all accounted for. The lost singing stones. We do not know who else may be watching.
Gandalf throws the cloth back over the Planeteer. Flash image, a fiery eye. Angle on Saruman as he sits on his throne.
The hour is later than you think. Sauron's forces are already moving. The Nine have left Minas Morgul.
The Nine?
They crossed the River Isen on Midsummer's Eve, disguised as riders in black.
They've reached the Shire.
Saruman shrugs.
They will find the ring and kill the one who carries it.
Gandalf backs away and turns to run to the door, horrified as the door suddenly slams shut.
You did not seriously think a hobbit could contend with the will of Sauron. There are none who can.
Gandalf slowly turns to Saruman, a look of dawning horror.
Against the power of Mordor, there can be no victory. We must join with him, Gandalf. We must join with Sauron. It would be wise, my friend.
Tell me, friend, when did Saruman the Wise abandon reason for madness?
At that moment, Gandalf is suddenly blasted across the room. He slams against a wall, pinned there by some unseen force. With sudden effort, Gandalf wrenches himself from the wall and swings his staff on Saruman, blasting him off his feet. Gandalf and Saruman battle, powerful blasts throwing them across the room. Saruman screams, eyes blazing. Gandalf's staff is suddenly completely wrenched from his grip. It flies across the chamber and into Saruman's hand. Gandalf is flung to the floor.
I gave you the choice of aiding me willingly, but you have elected the way of pain.
Gandalf is breathing hard on the floor, his eyes look into the madness of Saruman. Commanding two staffs, Saruman sends Gandalf into a sickening spin. Gandalf tumbles towards the top of the tower, as if falling in reverse. Rushing POV, the roof of Orthanc rockets towards camera. Cut to, exterior Farmer's Fields day. Wide, on Frodo and Sam walking along a country lane which borders Farmer Maggot's fields. Angle, on Sam looking up. Frodo has disappeared around the corner of a lane.
It's Frodo. Mr. Frodo.
Frodo turns, surprised, as Sam comes running towards him.
I thought I'd lost you.
Angle on Frodo, who looks at Sam suspiciously. Sam glances down, embarrassed.
What are you talking about?
Just something Gandalf said.
What did he say?
He said, don't you leave him, Samwise Gamgee. And I don't mean to.
Sam, we're still in the Shire. What could possibly happen?
Suddenly, a figure comes crashing out of a hedgerow, sending Frodo flying. Frodo picks himself up, only to be knocked back again by Pippin.
Frodo! Mary, it's Frodo Baggins!
Hello, Frodo!
Angle on Merry, Pippin, and Frodo picking themselves up. A variety of vegetables have scattered everywhere.
What's the meaning of this?
Sam, hold this.
Mary hands Sam a large cabbage.
You've been at Farmer Maggot's crop.
Angle, a large pitchfork can be seen racing towards them along the hedgerow. Angry shouts from the Farmer Maggot.
Who's that in my field? Get out of it! Get out of my field, you young varmints! I'll show you! Get out of my corn!
Angle on Merry and Pippin hurriedly gathering together their booty and to race away, with Frodo and Sam on their heels.
I don't know why he is so upset. It's only a couple of carrots.
And some cabbages. And those 3 bags of potatoes that we lifted last week. And the mushrooms from the week before.
Yes, Pippin, my point is, he's clearly overreacting.
The baying of a large dog sounds.
Run!
Cut to exterior wooded road day. Frodo, Sam, Merry, and Pippin tumble head over heel down a bank onto a dark wooded road. Close, on a winded Pippin, his face inches away from a large pile of horse droppings.
That was close.
Frodo picks himself up and looks down quickly.
Oh, I think I've broken something.
He pulls a large carrot, almost broken through in the middle, out from his back pocket.
Oh.
Just a brandy bucket of took.
What? That was just a detour. A shortcut.
Shortcut to what?
Pippin has spied something under the trees on the far side of the road.
Mushrooms!
Close, on small brown mushrooms growing along the loamy undergrowth. Sam, Merry, and Pippin race towards the mushrooms. Frodo is tense and watchful. He realizes they're on a wooded road. Scattered leaves rise in the air, whirling down the road as if blown by an invisible wind. Suddenly, the sound of horse hooves.
I think we should get off the road.
A long-drawn wail comes on the wind, like the cry of some evil and lovely creature.
Get off the road!
Sam grabs Merry and Pippin as the hobbits quickly scramble down the bank, hiding under a mossy log. The sound of hooves is close. A sinister, mounted ring wraith steps into view, hooded and faceless, mounted on a huge, snarling black horse with insane eyes. Frodo freezes in terror. Angle on the ring wraith pauses right above their hiding place. He sits very still with head bowed, listening. From inside the hood comes a sniffing noise, as if he is trying to catch an elusive scent. His head is turning from side to side. Close on Frodo, beads of sweat gather on his brow. Angle on the ring wraith suddenly slides off his horse, leaning over the mossy log, peering suspiciously into the woods. Frodo, he's drawing the ring out of his pocket with trembling hands, his face fevered and sweating as if the grip of some terrible internal struggle. The sound of sniffing intensifies as the ring wraith darts his head from side to side like a bird of prey. Close on Frodo, squeezing his eyes shut. Quick psychic blasts, an evil dark tower, a great eye, a burst of flame. Angle on Sam, looking at Frodo with concern.
Frodo.
Merry desperately hurls the mushroom across the road. The ring wraith spins towards the sound and darts to the far side of the road with frightening speed. Angle on Frodo as he instantly slumps, as if a psychic link has been broken.
What was that?
Frodo is staring, a look of shock on his face at the ring lying in the palm of his hand. Exterior Fairy Lane night. Frodo, Sam, Merry, and Pippin hurry along the streets, slipping and sliding on the muddy road.
Anything?
Nothing.
What is going on?
Angle on Merry as he moves past Pippin, towards Frodo, watching intently. Sam keeps looking around nervously.
That Black Rider was looking for something. Or someone. Frodo?
Get down!
A silhouette of a Black Rider looms against the skyline. The four hobbits sprawl on the ground, holding their breath. The Dark Rider turns and departs.
I have to leave the Shire. Sam and I must get to Bree.
Angle on Merry as he looks to his friend, realizing Frodo is in deep trouble.
Right. Buckleberry Fairy, follow me!
The hobbits break cover. Suddenly, a ring wraith bursts out of the woods towards them.
There's another one! Frodo, this way!
The hobbits run. The ring wraith shrieks. Quick cuts, black horse hooves, snarling horse mouths, a fleeing black cowl.
Frodo, follow me!
Cut to exterior Bruckleberry Ferry night. Frodo, Sam, Merry, Pippin are running towards the wide, placid Brandywine River and the ferry.
Get the rope, Sam!
Quick angles, stomping hooves, snarling horses. Four ring wraiths are speeding through the fog, converging on the ferry crossing. The hobbits stampede across the wharf and tumble onto the ferry.
Frodo!
Frodo races to the wooden wharf, followed by the ring wraiths. He leaps onto the ferry, close on the hooves as they thunder down the wooden wharf. Sam and Merry shove off with poles. The ferry slides out into the river just as the ring wraiths arrive. They pull up on the end of the wharf, shrieking with rage. The hobbits cover their ears. The ring wraiths wheel their horses towards the north and gallop away to the riverbank, quickly disappearing into the fog.
Where is the nearest crossing?
The Brandywine Bridge, 20 miles.
Cut to exterior Bree Gate night. Angle on the lights of Bree, a small village of stone and half-timbered houses nestled against a low wooded hill. A thick hedge surrounds the village. The great gate bars the western entrance. Close on Frodo, Sam, Merry, and Pippin approaching the gatehouse, wild eyes, ragged, and out of breath.
Come on.
Angle on a surly gatekeeper, Old Harry, as he glances down at them.
What do you want?
We are headed for the Prancing Pony.
Old Harry swings his lantern onto the hobbits, bathing them in an uncomfortable yellow spotlight.
Hobbits. 4 hobbits. And what's more, out of the Shire by your talk. What business brings you to Bree?
We wish to stay at the inn. Our business is our own.
To Frodo's relief, Harry unlocks the gate.
All right, young sir. I meant no offense.
The hobbits gratefully enter Bree, Old Harry eyeing them curiously in the lantern light.
'Tis old Harry's job to ask questions after nightfall. There's talk of strange folk abroad. Can't be too careful.
Cut to exterior Bree Streets night. The tall Bree folk looming over the nervous little hobbits as Frodo, Sam, Merry, and Pippin make their way through the narrow streets. Tall buildings tower above them. Light glow dimly from the thick curtains. Close on the sign, the Prancing Pony Inn. Frodo, Sam, Merry, and Pippin hurry towards it. Interior, prancing pony reception, night. Frodo, Sam, Merry, and Pippin come rushing in. Frodo attracts the innkeeper's attention.
Excuse me.
Good evening, little masters. If you're seeking accommodations, we've got some nice, cozy, hobbit-sized rooms available. Mr.
Underhill. My name's Underhill.
Underhill.
We're friends of Gandalf the Grey. Can you tell him we've arrived?
Butterbur frowns.
Gandalf. Oh, yes. I remember. Elderly chap, big grey beard, pointy hat.
Butterbur shakes his head.
Not seen him for 6 months.
Frodo is shocked.
What do we do now?
Interior, prancing pony, later. Wide on the noisy, smoky inn. It's dimly lit, chiefly from the blazing log fire, and a crowd is a mixture of big folk, local hobbits, and a couple of dwarfs. Angle on Frodo, Sam, Merry, and Pippin. They're sitting at a table against a wall, clearly trying to remain quiet and inconspicuous. Sam can't help himself. He keeps casting nervous glances around.
Sam, he'll be here. He'll come.
Angle on Merry, plunks himself down at the table, carrying a very large mug of beer.
What's that?
This, my friend, is a pint.
It comes in pints? I'm getting one.
Sam watches Pippin rise unsteadily to his feet and head to the bar.
You've got a whole half already.
Merry watches Pippin go. Angle on a couple of swarthy men leaning against the bar as they glance at Frodo, then quickly look away.
That fellow's done nothing but stare at you since we've arrived.
Sam indicates a brooding stranger who sits alone at a table in the far corner, smoking a curiously carved long-stem pipe, peering from beneath a travel-stained cowl with gleaming eyes. Frodo gestures to Butterbur.
Excuse me. That man in the corner. Who is he?
He's one of them rangers. They're dangerous folk, they are, wandering the wilds. What his name is, I never heard, but round here he's known as Strider.
Strider.
Beneath the table, Frodo's fingers are nervously toying with the ring. Close on Frodo, sweat runs down his brow. The strange hum of the ring spills into the soundtrack. Baggins, Baggins, a creepy whisper seems to fill Frodo's head, sound that dissolves into Pippin's loud voice.
Baggins? Sure, I know a Baggins. He's over there.
Angle on Pippin sitting at the bar, chatting with locals. Frodo leaps to his feet and pushes his way to the bar.
Frodo Baggins. He's my second cousin, once removed on his mother's side, and my third cousin, twice removed on his father's side, if you follow me.
Frodo grabs Pippin's sleeve, spilling his beer.
Pippin!
Steady on, Frodo.
Pippin pushes Frodo away. He stumbles backwards and falls to the floor. In that instant, the inn falls silent and the attention turns to Frodo. Close on the ring. In agonizing slow motion, he watches as it seems to hang in the air for a split second, then crashes down onto his outstretched finger. Frodo vanishes. In a sharp intake of breath, followed by total silence. Cut to exterior Bree countryside night. The ring wraiths turn sharply in their saddles, instantly aware that the ring is being worn. They spur their horses towards the distant lights of Bree. Interior prancing pony night. As Sam looks sick, Pippin instantly sobers, realizing his folly. The brooding stranger frowns, and the inn erupts into an excited babble. In the Twilight World, angle on Frodo as he finds himself in the Twilight World of the Ring. The excited crowd is suddenly moving in slow motion, distorted voices, a weird photographic negative quality. Frodo is moving in real time against the slow motion background. He is suddenly clutching his head as he is hit with quick images of a great eye, an evil cat-like eye, wreathed in flames.
You cannot hide. I see you. There is no life here in the void. Only cold. Only death.
Frodo is terrified. He rolls under a table, desperately pulling at the ring from his finger. Frodo materializes in the real world. At that moment, a large hand reaches under the table and grabs Frodo by the collar and drags him away. Cut to interior prancing pony corridor night. Frodo is roughly pushed against the wall. The brooding stranger looms over him.
You draw far much attention to yourself, Mr. Underhill.
Cut to interior Hobbit's room, prancing pony night. Frodo is pushed into the Hobbit's room by Strider.
What do you want?
A little more caution from you. That is not stricken to carry.
I carry nothing.
Indeed, I can avoid being seen if I wish, but to disappear entirely, that is a rare gift.
He takes down the hood of his cloak to reveal the shaggy head of dark hair, flecked with gray, and a pale, stern face of a pair of keen gray eyes.
Who are you?
Are you frightened?
Yes.
Not nearly frightened enough. I know what hunts you.
Frodo jumps at the sound of a noise in the corridor. Strider deftly draws his sword. Angle as the door bursts open, and Sam, Merry, and Pippin appear in the doorway. Sam is squaring off with his fists. Merry brandishes a candelabra, and Pippin a chair.
Let him go, or I'll have you, Longshanks.
Strider sheathes his sword, a slight smile playing on his lips.
You have a stout heart, little hobbit, but that alone will not save you. Frodo, they are coming.
Cut to exterior gatehouse, Bree, night. Old Harry comes out of his lodging with a lantern, a look of fear on his face. He approaches the closed gate with great apprehension. Close on, as Old Harry peers out of the peephole, crash. The gate crashes down on Old Harry as 4 ring wraiths ride into Bree. Exterior, Bree streets, night. The 4 ring wraiths fly down the empty streets like horsemen of the apocalypse. Interior, Prancing Pony Inn, night. A low angle, the front door flies open. The 4 ring wraiths rush into the Prancing Pony with wicked swords drawn. Close on, Butterbur hiding behind his bar, trembling and sweating with terror. Interior, Hobbit room, Prancing Pony, night. Insert, Merry snoring softly on his pillow. Insert, Pippin stirs slightly, then settles back to sleep. Wide as the doors creak open, the 4 ring wraiths silently slide into the hobbit's room. They loom over each bed, raising their shining swords high above the sleeping hobbits. Quick insert, Sam's eyes wide open. In unison, the ring wraiths stab the hobbits in slashing, hacking frenzy. Interior, Strider's room, night. Angle on Strider, who's grimly listening to the sounds from his room. Interior, Hobbit room, Prancing Pony, night. Wide on the ring wraiths as they step back from the slashed beds in triumph. Close on the hacked blanket as it's pulled back to reveal nothing but a shredded pillow. The ring wraiths shriek in rage. Insert, Sam sits up with a start. Another shredded pillow is revealed. More shrieks of rage. Merry and Pippin wake with a start. Cut to interior, Strider's room, night. Wide on Sam, Merry, and Pippin as they've been sleeping on Strider's bed. Frodo stands next to Strider by the window, peering out nervously as the furious ring wraiths screech echo across the courtyard from the hobbit's room.
What are they?
They were once men,
Strider glances quickly at Frodo, then looks away.
great kings of men. Then Sauron, the deceiver, gave them 9 rings of power. Blinded by their greed, they took them without question, one by one falling into darkness. Now they are slaves to his will.
Strider looks from the window as the ring wraiths gallop down the Bree streets. Close on Strider as he turns back to the hobbits, his face lit faintly by the glowing embers of the fire.
They are Nazgul, ring wraiths, neither living nor dead. At all times they feel the presence of the ring, drawn to the power of the one. They will never stop hunting you.
Cut to exterior, Chetwood Forest, day. Angle on Strider, Merry, Pippin, and Frodo as they march through the gloomy, overgrown forest. Sam follows at the rear, leading Bill, a scrawny pony who is laden with supplies.
Where are you taking us?
Into the wild.
Angle on Frodo as he watches uneasily as Strider moves off into the cover of trees.
We know the Strider is a friend of Gandalf.
I think a servant of the enemy would look fairer and feel fouler.
He's foul enough.
We have no choice but to trust him.
But where is he leading us?
Strider stops, casts a glance back at Sam.
To Rivendell, Master Genji. To the house of Elrond.
Sam looks excited.
Did you hear that, Bill? Rivendell. We're going to see the elves.
Strider leads the hobbits through the gloom of the forest. Cut to exterior Midgewood Moors, day. Ariel on Strider, leading Frodo, Sam, Merry, and Pippin across the windswept moor. The hobbits suddenly stop and unstrap their knapsacks.
Gentlemen, we do not stop till nightfall.
What about breakfast?
You already had it.
We've had one, yes. What about second breakfast?
Strider stares at Pippin blankly, then turns away, shaking his head.
I don't think he knows about second breakfast, Pip.
What about elevensies? Luncheon? Afternoon tea? Dinner? He knows about them, doesn't he?
I wouldn't count on it.
An apple is thrown to Merry, who deftly catches it. Another, aimed at Pippin, catches him in the forehead.
Pippin!
Angle on, the hobbits trudging through the rain, looking tired, hungry, and miserable. Cut to exterior, Midgewater day. Wide on Aragorn, Frodo, Sam, Bill, Merry, and Pippin as they struggle through the dense swampland. Bugs swarm around them. Angle on Merry as he slaps at the swarming insects.
What do they eat when they can't get hobbits?
Pippin loses his balance and falls face first into the muck. Exterior, Midgewater night. Angle on the full moon as it stands high overhead. Strider keeps a lone watch on the dying embers of a fire. He sings quietly to himself.
Tinuvil in vanu elethalfrain ethelanton, ochon ring finil finil, reng gelibrin telonion. Tinuvil, the 11th fair, immortal maiden, delves wise, about him casts her night dark hair, and arms like a silver glimmering.
Close on Frodo as he awakens, hearing Strider's song.
Who is she, this woman you sing of?
Strider turns, momentarily startled. He relaxes quickly. He speaks as if the tale is personal to him.
This is the Lady of Luthien, the elf maiden who gave her love to a baron, a mortal.
What happened to her?
She died.
Strider sighs. His face bears remorse as he turns to Frodo.
Get some sleep, Frodo.
Frodo nods and lays back. Strider turns back to his vigil and looks up at the moon. His eyes are brimming with tears. Cut to interior Orthanc antechamber night. Saruman stands over the planeteer, his hands cupping the massive eye.
Power of Isengard is at your command, Sauron, Lord of the Earth.
On the soundtrack, black speech fills the room. Amidst the harsh, guttural words, the voice of Sauron emerges.
Build me an army worthy of Mordor.
Interior, Orthanc antechamber night. Saruman is seated as an orc overseer approaches.
What are orders from Mordor, my lord? What does the Eye command?
We have work to do.
Interior, Isengard night. Close on Gandalf, lying unconscious on a cold obsidian floor. He wakes to the sound of ripping and tearing, rising to his knees, lifting his head. Gandalf stands as the camera pulls back to reveal him standing on the summit of Orthanc. He is marooned on a tiny flat peak, surrounded on all sides by a sheer 500-foot drop. Another whispering wail rends the air. Gandalf crosses quickly to the edge and peers down. POV. One of the beautiful Isengard trees is being ripped from the ground by the orcs. Gandalf looks on in horror as orcs hack the trunk with axes. Saruman stands in the rain looking out of the dark night. An orc overseer sidles up to him, axe in hand, sweating with exertion.
The trees are strong, my lord. Their roots go deep.
Rip them all down.
Camera circles the summit. More and more trees are hauled down and killed as Gandalf looks on in helpless despair. Dissolve to exterior, Weatherhill's day. Wide on the rugged countryside as the hobbits journey on, led by Strider. Strider stops before a distant hill topped by an ancient ruin.
This was the once great watchtower of Amon's soul. We shall rest here tonight.
Cut to exterior, Weathertop Hollow, dusk. Angle on Frodo, Merry, Pippin as they collapse into a small hollow halfway up Weathertop. They are muddy and exhausted. Strider drops 4 swords at the hobbits' feet.
These are for you. Keep them close. I'm going to have to look around. Stay here.
Cut to exterior, Weathertop Hollow, night. Close on Frodo, his eyes flicker open. He suddenly sits up, sniffing the air. Angle on Sam, Merry, and Pippin, huddled over a small fire, sausages and bacon sizzling in a hot fry pan.
What are you doing?
Tomatoes, sausages, and crispy bacon.
He saved for you, Mr. Frodo.
Put it out, you fools! Put it out!
Oh, that's nice. Ash on my tomatoes.
A sudden shriek. Angle on 5 ringwraiths on foot, running up the steep slope unnaturally fast.
Go!
Frodo, Sam, Merry, and Pippin clamber desperately towards the summit, clutching their swords. Cut to exterior Weathertop summit, night. Frodo, Sam, Merry, and Pippin race into a ring of broken stones at the summit on Weathertop, the ruined base of an ancient tower. The hobbits stand back to back in the center of the ring, waiting on the first assault. One by one, the 5 ringwraiths appear, brandishing gleaming swords. They move slowly towards the hobbits. In the center is their leader, the Witch King.
Back, you devils!
Angle on Sam as he rushes forward with a cry. He swings his sword at the Witch King, who blocks the blow with his own sword. Sam's blade clatters. The Witch King lashes out with his fist, sending Sam flying. Merry and Pippin, overcome with terror, throw themselves flat to the ground. The ringwraiths close in on Frodo. A venomous whisper dances in his head. Frodo shuts his eyes and staggers back, desperately resisting the wraith's whispers. Slow motion on his hands as he goes to his pocket and pulls out the ring. The 5 ringwraiths utter a chilling screech of excitement. Frodo is unable to resist any longer. He falls to his knees and slips on the ring. He disappears.
No!
in the Twilight World. Angle on Frodo as he finds himself in a weird Twilight world. He looks upon the ring wraiths, now visible in their true appearance. 5 ghouls, dressed in long gray robes, with white hair and pallid, ruthless faces. The Witch King extends a haggard hand towards Frodo, reaching for the ring on his finger. Frodo's trembling hand extends forward as if by the pull of the ring. He slides to the ground, unable to pull his hand away. The Witch King snarls and springs forward. He stabs at Frodo with a wicked dagger. Frodo winces as the tip of the dagger sinks into his shoulder. Suddenly, Strider charges the ring wraiths, wielding his sword in one hand, a flaming torch in the other. He moves in slow motion, visible through the sea of mist. Frodo sinks to the ground. Behind him is the faint image of the ring wraith fleeting, his head engulfed in flames. With draining strength, Frodo manages to pull the ring off of his finger. In the real world, appearing back in the real world, Sam rushes over to him.
Frodo!
Another ring wraith is burning and screaming. Others screech fearfully at the flames, turn, and flee from the Weathertop summit.
Mr. Frodo!
Strider kneels before Frodo. He snatches up the Witch King's dagger from the ground, staring gravely at the long, thin blade.
Help him, Strider!
He's been stabbed by a Mongol blade.
The Morgul blade suddenly melts, vanishing into the air like smoke. Strider throws the hilt in disgust.
Do something!
This is beyond my skill to heal. He needs elvish medicine.
Strider lifts Frodo onto his shoulders. Exterior, Weatherhill's night. Strider is jogging grimly, carrying an ailing Frodo on his back. Sam, Merry, and Pippin are running to keep up. The hobbits are carrying flame torches for protection.
Hurry.
You're 6 days from Rivendell.
Frodo grounds.
Hold on, Frodo.
He'll never make it.
Close on Frodo, head lolling about, barely conscious.
Gandalf? Gandalf?
Exterior, Isengard. Night. Low angle, looking up at Orthanc, the Tower of Isengard gleaming in the moonlight. Camera rises to reveal the once beautiful gardens are now a pitted wasteland, with smoke and fire billowing out of the numerous tunnels and vent holes that litter the foreground of Orthanc. Strange guttural chants echo up from the deep underground. The camera is rising. A small moth flutters into the shot and leads the camera towards the summit of Orthanc. Gandalf lies slumped against the wall at the very top of Orthanc, surrounded by a sheer 500-foot drop. He looks weak and frail and is seemingly asleep. His hand suddenly moves at lightning speed as he snatches the moth. Gandalf brings his hand close to his face and opens it. The moth sits in the palm of his hand as Gandalf mutters strange words in a foreign tongue. Close on the moth's face, seemingly listening, it suddenly flutters away. The camera follows as the moth off the Orthanc summit, but drops past the moth, falling down towards the pitted wasteland, straight into a fiery red tunnel. The caverns below Isengard night. A series of shots, the dead trees of Isengard are fed into a roaring furnace. Molten metal pours into casts, hot red metal, beaten by the sweating orc blacksmiths. Armor and weapons are forged into the great furnaces. Angle on Saruman as he strides along the orcs and stands among the newly born Uruk-hai as it escapes from the birthing membrane. This is Lurtz, who rises up to stand before his master. Cut to exterior Trollshaw Forest clearing night. Close on Frodo as his eyes flicker open, clouded, red-rimmed, his brow beaded with sweat. Frodo's POV. 3 large stone trolls sit in the clearing. Sam pops his head in front of Frodo.
Look, Frodo, it's Mr. Bilbo's trolls.
Angle on Sam as he feels his skin.
Mr. Frodo, he's getting cold. He's going cold.
Is he going to die?
Frodo's breathing is getting shallow. Strider looks out into the darkness.
He is passing into the shadow world. He'll soon become a wraith like them.
A distant cry of a ring wraith carries through the air.
They're close.
Frodo gasps in sudden pain.
Sam, do you know the Atlantis plant?
Sam looks blank.
Phyllis?
Kingsfoil.
Kingsfoil. Aye, it's a weed.
It may help to slow the poisoning. Hurry.
Exterior Trollshaw Forest night. Sam and Strider desperately search the dark woods floor for the Althenas plant. Close, on a small white-flowered plant, Strider drops to one knee, carefully pulling it from the ground. Suddenly, Strider freezes as a sword blade touches his neck.
What's this? A ranger caught off his guard.
Strider looks up slowly. Cut to exterior Trollshaw Forest clearing night. Frodo is breathing hard, desperately ill. Frodo's half-conscious POV, surreal impression, a shimmering figure in white leaps off of a horse. A flash insert, an ethereal vision of Arwen as she appears on the other side.
Frodo, I'm Arwen, telling Let Thaid. Lasto Bethnin Tolo Nan Na in Galat.
Who is she?
Frodo.
She's an elf.
Angle on Arwen, who now appears in her earthbound form, a young elven woman with tousled hair, dressed in a mud-spattered riding cloth.
He's fading. He's not going to last. We must get him to my father.
Strider quickly lifts Frodo, placing him on the horse.
Where are you taking him?
I've been looking for you for 2 days. There are 5 wraiths behind you. Where the other 4 are, I do not know.
Dr. Gwyn Brain, Richan, and At Toltafon.
Hon Mabathon, Bochon Elint Im.
Close on Arwen, grabbing the reins of the horse. Strider clamps his hands over Arwen's.
Atum Van.
Frodo Fear, a Ethrodon I hear Tour Gwaith Nin, Beriathan Home.
What are they saying?
Close on Arwen as she reaches for Strider's hand, looking deep into his eyes.
I do not fear them.
Close on Strider, we see that it's hard for him to let her go.
The Etheling.
Angle on Arwen as she mounts her horse, Asphaloth.
Arwen, ride hard, don't look back.
Angle on Arwen as she looks down at Strider as he supports Frodo with one hand.
Nurorim Asphaloth, Nororim.
What are you doing? Those wraiths are still up there.
Angle on Asphaloth as he springs away, bearing Arwen and Frodo into the night. Cut to exterior, Trollshaw Forest, night. Speeding POV through the forest from the back of a white horse. Angle on Frodo, bouncing in the saddle. He lifts his head weakly. Surreal slow-motion POV, the horse's head bobbing, trees sliding by, moonlight flickers through the trees. Cut to exterior aerial of Etten Moor's morning. Aerial of Arwen's white horse emerging from the trees and galloping through the open land as the sun rises. Cut to exterior pine forest day. Asphaloth charges through the pine forest. Suddenly, 2 galloping ring wraiths emerge from the trees behind. 2 more ring wraiths slide in from different directions to join the chase. Arwen grits her teeth, urges the white horse to greater speed. Cut to the east road day. The white horse speeds into the pine trees, the 4 ring wraiths close behind. Pan onto 2 more ring wraiths galloping down the hillside. Aerial shot, 3 more ring wraiths enter frame from different directions, a total of 9 ring wraiths, now pursuing Frodo and Arwen. Close on the panting head of the white elven horse.
Nurolim Asphaloth.
Cut to the ford of Benuen day. Crane down as the white horse races towards camera to reveal the wide river Brenuin in the foreground. Without hesitation, the white horse leaps into the shallow water and thunders across the ford. The 9 ring wraiths pull up short of the ford, clearly nervous of the water. The white horse races to the other side. Arwen pulls up and turns to defiantly face the ring wraiths from across the ford.
Give up the halfling, she-witch.
She draws her sword and yells at the Witch King.
If you want him, come and claim him.
The Witch King screeches angrily, draws his sword, and leads the ring wraiths across the ford. The water starts flowing faster. A distant rumble can be heard. Arwen waits until they are halfway across. She suddenly stands in the saddle, arms raised.
Nin ochilik gear, lasto betdair, rimno nin bruinin dan in uler, nino chilak gear, lasto betdair, rimno nin bruinin dan in uler.
The ground suddenly trembles. A mighty roar fills the air. Frodo looks up weakly to see a vast torrent of water flooding down the river towards the ford, as if a dam had burst. Angle on the foaming water as it seems to form the shape of dancing white horses with frothing manes. The ring wraiths scream in terror as they are swallowed up in the deluge. Their piercing cries are drowned in the roaring of the river as it carries them away. Close on Frodo as he loses consciousness.
No, Frodo, no! Frodo, don't give in, not now!
Arwen gathers the small hobbit in her arms, feeling his life slip away. Interior, Frodo's delirium, day. Delirious images and sounds.
What grace is given me, let it pass to him. Let him spread, save him.
Images, a city in the woods, a brief distorted glimpse of Elrond, an elven lord, working feverishly to save Frodo.
Lasto Bethnin, Tolo na Danan Negland.
Images, a blade stabbing over and over, Frodo's face, bathed in firelight, the eye of Sauron looms towards Frodo. Frodo gasps at the eye, his face twists in fear. Image, a bright light suddenly flares, Frodo squeezes his eyes shut, gasping.
Where am I?
A familiar face cuts through the swirl of sound.
You are in the house of Elrond, and it is 10 o'clock in the morning on October the 24th, if you want to know.
Interior, Frodo's bedroom day. Frodo's eyes flicker open. He's lying in bed next to an open window. Dappled sunlight plays on the richly carved timbers. The sound of a nearby waterfall drifts from the fir vistas.
Gandalf.
Angle on Gandalf sitting on Frodo's bed, softly puffing his pipe. He stands and smiles at Frodo.
Yes, I'm here, and you're lucky to be here too. A few more hours and you would have been beyond our aid. But you have some strength in you, my dear hobbit.
Frodo sits up, looking at Gandalf questioningly.
What happened, Gandalf? Why didn't you meet us?
I am sorry, Frodo.
Close on Gandalf, troubled, his eyes drift away.
I was delayed.
Cut to, exterior, Orthanc Summit night. Saruman stands over Gandalf, gloating.
A friendship with Saruman is not lightly thrown aside.
With the power of his staff, Saruman tosses Gandalf from the one side of Orthanc to off the edge of the other side where he holds Gandalf suspended, as if Gandalf is standing on the side of the tower.
One ill turn deserves another. It is over. Embrace the power of the ring, or embrace your own destruction.
Saruman raises Gandalf again, then sends him crashing onto the floor.
There's only one Lord of the Ring. Only one who can bend it to his will. And he does not share his power.
Suddenly, Gandalf lurches to his feet and throws himself off of the tower. Saruman watches Gandalf fly away from Isengard on the back of a giant eagle.
So you have chosen death.
Cut to, exterior, skies over the mountains, dawn. Brethwaire the Wind Lord soars majestically over the mountains, carrying Gandalf towards the dawn. Cut to, interior, Frodo's bedroom, Rivendell, day. Frodo raises himself and looks to Gandalf.
Gandalf, what is it?
Gandalf returns his attention to Frodo.
Nothing, Frodo.
Angle on, Sam as he runs to Frodo's bedside. He's overjoyed to find Frodo awake.
Frodo, bless you, you're awake.
Sam has hardly left your side.
We were worried about you, weren't we, Mr. Gandalf?
Are the skills of Lord Elrond well beginning to mend?
Elrond, Lord of the High Elves, stands up on Frodo's bedside. His face is neither old nor young, though it is written with the memory of many things, both glad and sorrowful.
Welcome to Rivendell, Frodo Baggins.
Frodo sits up, looking at Elrond with awe. Cut to, exterior, Rivendell Valley, day. Wide on, Rivendell, a small cluster of elegant elven buildings sitting in a Shangri-La-like valley below, towering cliffs and snow-capped mountains.
You have found your way to the last homely house east of the sea. The elves of Imladris have dwelt within this valley for 3,000 years, though few of my kin now remain.
Angle on, Frodo as he looks out over the balcony. Cut to, exterior, Rivendell Gardens, day. Frodo and Sam walk together. Suddenly, the voices of Merry and Pippin can be heard as they bound up to Frodo and throw their arms around him.
Frodo! Frodo!
Sam looks past Frodo, smiling. A bent figure sits alone on a bench in the sun. Frodo turns, following Sam's gaze.
Bilbo!
Exterior, Rivendell Terrace, day. Close on, Bilbo Baggins. He breaks into a broad grin as Frodo rushes forward to embrace him. Bilbo has aged significantly since we saw him last.
Hello, Frodo, my lad.
Bilbo.
Later, Frodo is turning the neatly inscribed title page of a red leather-bound journal.
There and Back Again, A Hobbit's Tale by Bilbo Baggins.
Bilbo smiles proudly. He is sitting with Frodo on a terrace overlooking a waterfall. Frodo looks at page after page of beautiful handwriting with intricate maps and drawings.
This is wonderful.
I meant to go back, wander the paths of Mirkwood, visit Lake Town, see the Lonely Mountain again. But age, it seems, has finally caught up with me.
Frodo turns a page. There before him is a map of the Shire.
I miss the Shire. I spent all my childhood pretending I was off somewhere else, off with you on one of your adventures. But my own adventure turned out to be quite different. I'm not like you, Bilbo.
My dear boy.
Cut to exterior Rivendell Terrace evening. Sam busily tries to stuff more and more things into his already full pack. Pots and pans, blankets, cooking utensils, provisions, and clothes.
Now, what have I forgotten?
Pull back to reveal Frodo, hands in his pockets, watching Sam.
Packed already?
Sam looks up, startled.
No harm in being prepared.
Frodo strolls to the edge of the balcony.
I thought you wanted to see the elves, Sam.
I do.
More than anything.
I did. It's just, we did what Gandalf wanted, didn't we? We got the ring this far, to Rivendell. And I thought, seeing as how you're on the mend, we'd be off soon. Off home.
You're right, Sam.
Frodo looks at Sam.
We did what we set out to do.
Close on as Frodo opens his hand. The ring sits in his palm.
The ring will be safe in Rivendell. I am ready to go home.
Cut to interior Elrond's chamber, Rivendell, day. Gandalf and Elrond watch Frodo and Sam from Elrond's balcony.
His strength has returned.
That wound will never fully heal. He will carry it the rest of his life.
Yet to have come so far, still bearing the ring. The Hobbit has shown extraordinary resilience to its evil.
With a burden he should never have had to bear. We can ask no more of Frodo.
Gandalf, the enemy is moving. Sauron's forces are massing in the east, his eyes fixed in Rivendell. And Saruman, you tell me, has he betrayed us? Our list of allies grows thin.
His treachery runs deeper than you know. By foul craft Saruman has crossed orcs with goblin men. He's breeding an army in the caverns of Isengard, an army that can move in sunlight and cover great distance of speed. Saruman is coming for the ring.
Elrond turns and walks away.
This evil cannot be concealed by the power of the elves. We do not have the strength to fight both Mordor and Isengard. Gandalf, the ring cannot stay here.
Gandalf turns and looks out the window. The sounds of arrivals. Gandalf watches as Boromir rides through the Rivendell gate, followed by Legolas and Gimli.
I have my first line in 30 pages coming up.
This peril belongs to all Middle-earth. They must decide now how to end it.
Angelon Elrond as he approaches Gandalf.
The time of the elves is over. My people are leaving these shores. Who will you look to when we've gone? The dwarves? They hide in their mountains seeking riches. They care nothing for the troubles of others.
It is in men that we must place our hope.
Men? Men are weak. The race of men is failing. The blood of Numenor is all but spent, its pride and dignity forgotten. It is because of men the ring survives.
Flash insert. With a broken sword, Isildur slices off Sauron's finger. Elrond reacts.
I was there, Gandalf. I was there 3,000 years ago when Isildur took the ring.
Flash insert. Isildur picks up the ring and stares at it, entranced.
I was there when the day the strength of men failed.
Cut to interior Crack of Doom day.
Isildur, hurry, follow me.
Images. Elrond leads Isildur into the steaming volcano.
I led Isildur into the heart of Mount Doom, where the ring was forged, the one place it could be destroyed.
Elrond and Isildur stand before the fires of Mount Doom.
Cast it in the fire, destroy it!
Isildur, captivated by the ring.
No!
Isildur turns and walks away.
Isildur!
Interior, Elrond's chamber, Rivendell, day. Elrond turns to Gandalf.
It should have ended that day, but evil was allowed to endure. Isildur kept the ring, and the line of kings was broken. There's no strength left in the world of men. They are scattered, divided, leaderless.
There is one who could unite them, one who could reclaim the throne of Gondor.
He turned from that path a long time ago. He has chosen exile.
Cut to interior Elrond's chamber, Rivendell, night. Angelon, Strider as he watches from the shadows as Boromir strolls through the darkened gallery. Boromir's eyes are drawn to an old fresco on the wall depicting Isildur defeating Sauron. Boromir turns suddenly and notices Strider looking at him. He looks Strider up and down, confused for a moment.
You are no elf.
Men of the South are welcome here.
Who are you?
I'm a friend of Gandalf the Grey.
Boromir nods, understanding Strider's vagueness.
Then we are here on common purpose, friend.
Boromir smiles uncomfortably. Strider only looks at him silently. Boromir looks with wonderment at Narsil, the broken blade of Elendil, which lies on a cloth-covered plinth.
The shards of Narsil, the blade that cut the ring from Sauron's hand.
Boromir picks up a sword and gently touches the blade. A small bloom of blood appears on Boromir's finger.
Still sharp.
He slowly looks over to Strider, as if sensing a connection.
But no more than a broken heirloom.
Boromir replaces the blade, but it clatters to the floor. Boromir walks away, leaving Strider sitting alone. Strider picks up the broken hilt as Arwen appears behind him.
Why do you fear the past? You are Isildur's heir, not Isildur himself. You are not bound to his fate.
The same blood flows through my veins. The same weakness.
Your time will come. You will face the same evil, and you will defeat it. Asin dios uos orthor Aragorn. U ole a u ornin.
Cut to exterior Rivendell Valley, night. Night falls over the beautiful valley of Rivendell, still and quiet. Exterior Rivendell Waterfall, night. Strider and Arwen stand together upon a stone bridge. The even star of Arwen's breast shines in the moonlight.
Renek ailu I irui govanin.
Nathun alet oren remain.
Arwen reaches up and gently touches the gray at Strider's temples.
Gwynwen in inath ath arunth anek in neith I si kalek.
Arwen looks into Strider's eyes.
Renek I beth I penin.
Arwen reaches for Strider's hand.
You said you would bind yourself to me and forsaking the immortal life of your people.
And to that I hold. I would rather share one lifetime with you than face all ages of this world alone.
Strider looks down. In his hand lies the evening star.
I choose a mortal life.
You cannot give me this.
It is mine to give to whom I will, like my heart.
Arwen closes Strider's fingers around the jewel. Arwen leans towards Strider and gently kisses him. Interior, Council Chamber, Rivendell, day. Images from the prologue, the rings being given to the elves, dwarves, and men.
Elrond?
Muted, sorry. 3 rings for 11 kings under the sky. 7 for the dwarf lords in their halls of stone. 9 for mortal men doomed to die. 1 for the Dark Lord of his dark throne, in the land of Mordor, where the shadows lie. 1 ring to rule them all. 1 ring to find them. 1 ring to bring them all together in the darkness bind them, in the land of Mordor, where the shadows lie.
Frodo opens his hand and the ring lies in his palm. He looks up. Elrond addresses the council.
Strangers from distant lands, friends of old, you have been summoned here to answer the threat of Mordor. Middle-earth stands upon the brink of destruction. None can escape it. You will unite, and you will fall. Each race is bound to this fate, this one doom.
Frodo sits amongst a council of free peoples of Middle-earth. Elrond stands before them, addressing Gandalf, Strider, Legolas, and 20 other elves, dwarves, and men.
Bring forth the ring, Frodo.
Angle on Frodo as he steps forward and moves towards a stone plinth. He places the ring on the plinth and returns to his seat.
So it is true.
Sauron's ring. The ring of power.
The doom of man.
On the soundtrack, the hum of the ring sounds. Angelon, several members of the council starting to take notice. Boromir stands and begins to approach the ring, as if drawn to it.
In a dream, I saw an eastern sky grow dark, but in the west a pale light lingered. A voice was crying, "Your doom is near at hand. Isildur's blade is found."
Angelon, Elrond, and Gandalf as they exchange glances. Boromir reaches for the ring.
Isildur's blade.
Boromir.
Angle on Gandalf as he stands and speaks in black tongue on the soundtrack. The ring responds to Gandalf. Angles on Boromir as he stumbles back to his chair. The sky darkens, thunder rolls, and the ground trembles.
Ashnags, Dora Barkuk, Ashnags, Gibator, Ashnags, Tarakor, Hortokor, Ashbaruns, Ershim, Kalprakatum.
Nature returns to normal. Elrond looks to Gandalf.
Never before has any voice uttered the words of that tongue here in Imladris.
Do not ask your pardon, Master Elrond, for the black speech of Mordor may yet be heard in every corner of the West. The ring is altogether evil.
Gandalf returns to his seat. Boromir shakes his head. He stands again to make his case to the council.
It is a gift to the foes of Mordor. Why not use this ring? Long has my father, the steward of Gondor, kept to the forces of Mordor Bay. By the blood of our people are your lands kept safe. Give Gondor the weapon of the enemy. Let us use it against him.
You cannot wield it. None of us can. The One Ring answers to Sauron alone. It has no other master.
Boromir turns and looks at Strider, coolly.
And what would a ranger know of this matter?
Strider says nothing, and Boromir turns away dismissively. Legolas stands.
He's no mere ranger. He's Aragorn, son of Arathorn. You owe him your allegiance.
Frodo looks at the Strider questioningly. Boromir turns sharply.
Aragorn, this is Isildur's heir?
An heir to the throne of Gondor.
Have you that, Legolas?
Gondor has no king.
Aragorn is right. We cannot use it.
You have only one choice. The ring must be destroyed.
On the soundtrack, the hum of the ring seems to grow louder in Frodo's ears. Gimli suddenly stands, excited.
Then, what are we waiting for?
Gimli suddenly rushes forward. He swings his axe down on the ring. The axe shatters with a deafening crack. Gimli falls backwards, staring in disbelief at the ring, unharmed. Frodo winces as an angry image of the fiery eye hits him. He slumps into his chair, clutching his forehead. Gandalf looks at him with concern.
The ring cannot be destroyed, Gimli, son of Gloin, by any craft that we here possess. The ring was made in the fires of Mount Doom. Only there can it be unmade. It must be taken deep into Mordor and cast back into the fiery chasm from whence it came. One of you must do it.
Stunned silence. The council sits with downcast eyes, as if a great dread has descended upon them. Boromir addresses the council in a quiet voice.
It's not simply walk into Mordor. Its black gates are guarded by more than just orcs. This is evil. There that does not sleep, and the great eye is ever watchful. It is a barren wasteland riddled with fire and ash and dust. The very air you breathe is a poisonous fume. Not with 10,000 men could you do this. It is folly.
Have you heard nothing Lord Elrond has said? The ring must be destroyed.
And I suppose you think you're the one to do it?
And what if we fail? What then? What happens when Sauron takes back what is his?
Gimli leaps to his feet.
I will be dead before you see the ring in the hands of an elf.
A storm of argument erupts across the room. Close on Frodo. Sound disappears as he watches in slow motion. The angry faces, the shaking fists, the accusatory fingers. His eyes move to the ring. The hum grows louder in his head.
Never trust an elf.
The ring fills the screen. The streams of blood flow across the surface. Flames flicker with a gold band.
You not understand. While we bicker amongst ourselves, Sauron's power grows. No one will escape it. You will all be destroyed, with your homes burnt and your families put to the sword.
Frodo, breathing rapidly, caught in the grip of his hideous vision. With a huge effort of will, Frodo tears his gaze upon the ring. Frodo suddenly stands. He speaks in a strong, clear voice.
I will take it. I will take it. I will take the ring to Mordor.
Sudden silence. Frodo looks around the room at the astonished faces.
Though I do not know the way.
Gandalf rises to his feet.
I will help you bear this burden, Frodo Baggins, as long as it is yours to bear. Logan, take
lost.
over for Aragorn. Hold on, let's pause.
I will take it. I will take it. I will take the ring to Mordor.
Sudden silence. Frodo looks around the room at the astonished faces.
Though I do not know the way.
Gandalf rises to his feet.
I will help you bear this burden, Frodo Baggins, as long as it is yours to bear.
Hang on. What page is this? 99.
I will take it. I will take it. I will take the ring to Mordor.
Sudden silence. Frodo looks around the room at these astonished faces.
Though I do not know the way.
Gandalf rises to his feet.
I will help you bear this burden, Frodo Baggins, as long as it is yours to bear.
If by my life or death I can protect you, I will. You have my sword.
Aragorn steps forward, followed by Legolas and Gimli.
And you have my bow.
And my ox.
Boromir looks at them all and then walks to Frodo.
How are the fates of us all, little one?
Boromir looks towards Elrond and Gandalf.
If this is indeed the will of the council, then Gondor will see it done.
Frodo stares in wonder as the greatest fighters in all of Middle-earth stand at his side.
Here.
A sudden noise. Sam pops up from behind a bush.
Mr. Frodo's not going anywhere without me.
No, indeed. It is hardly possible to separate you, even when he is summoned to a secret council and you are not.
Merry and Pippin jump out from behind another bush.
Oi, we're coming too. You have to send us home tied in a sack to stop us.
Anyway, you need people's sort of intelligence on this sort of mission, quest, thing.
Well, that rules you out, Pip.
Elrond surveys the group.
9 companions. So be it. You shall be the Fellowship of the Ring.
Great. Where are we going?
Cut 2. Exterior Galran's Memorial, Rivendell, dawn. Close on, a hand gently and reverently removes debris from the base in form of a statue. Angle on, the statue of Gilran's hands are folded before her, and her head is hooded. Angle on Aragorn as he stands back and gazes into her sad face.
Anirn hen Beriad Ichenian. Ned im ladris Nathant elaberiathar ein.
Elrond approaches Aragorn. Aragorn pays little attention to Elrond. He caresses the face of his mother's statue. Elrond approaches from behind Aragorn.
In her heart, your mother knew you'd be hunted all your life, that you'd never escape your fate. The skill of the elves can reforge the sword of kings, but only you have the power to wield it.
Aragorn turns to him.
I do not want that power. I have never wanted it.
You are the last of that bloodline. There is no other choice.
Aragorn stands silently and continues looking upon the statue. Interior Frodo's bedroom, Rivendell, dawn. Close on an old sword sliding out of a shabby leather scabbard. Its polished, well-tendered blade glitters cold and bright.
My old sword, Sting. Here, take it.
Bilbo offers Sting to Frodo.
It's so light.
Yes, yes, made by the elves, you know. The blade glows blue when orcs are close. And it's times like that, my lad, when you have to be careful.
Bilbo unwraps a small shirt of close woven mail.
Here's a pretty thing. Mithril, as light as a feather and as hard as dragon scales. Let me see you put it on. Come on.
Close on Frodo as he peels off his shirt, revealing the ring on the chain around his neck.
Oh, my old ring.
Frodo frowns as Bilbo moves towards him.
I should very much like it to hold it again. One last time.
Bilbo reaches forward, eyes locked on the ring. Angle on. Suddenly a shadow passes across Bilbo, and for a split second he becomes a wrinkled creature with a hungry face and a bony, groping hand. Frodo pulls away, shocked. The shadow passes, and Bilbo slumps into a chair, his head in his hands. Bilbo falters, his eyes filling with tears.
I'm sorry that I brought this upon you, my boy. I'm sorry that you must carry this burden. I'm sorry for everything.
Bilbo sobs, and Frodo moves to comfort him. Cut to exterior Rivendell Terrace, day. Elrond and Frodo walk towards the rest of the Fellowship, waiting at the gate of Rivendell.
The time has come for the ring to set out. You cannot count on your journey being aided by war or force. You will pass into the domain of the enemy far from aid. You still hold to your word, Frodo, that you will be the ring bearer.
I do. I must. I will go with Sam.
Then I cannot help you much, not even with counsel. I can foresee very little of your road, and how your task is to mountains, and draws nigh even to the borders of the grey flood, and under the shadow all is dark to me. You will meet many foes, some open and some disguised, and you may find friends upon your way when you least look for it. I will send out messages such as I can contrive to those whom I know in the wide world, but so perilous have the lands now become that some may well miscarry, or come no quicker than you yourself. Had I a host of elves in armor of the elder days, it would be of little avail, save to arouse the power of Mordor. Are you confident in your companions?
Yes, Lord Elrond. I must be, I'm afraid, for if I doubt them, we may never succeed.
And what of your hobbit friends? I had hoped to send them back to the Shire as messengers to warn the people of the impending danger according to the fashion of your country. I feel that the youngest, Peregrine Took, should not go with you. My heart is against it.
His heart is set upon going. There will be no stopping him, even if you did send him home in a sack.
Let it be so then. The Fellowship awaits.
Elrond and Frodo turn a corner and descend to the Fellowship, now waiting by the gate. Exterior Rivendell Gate, day. Frodo joins the Fellowship, ready to depart. They are set to go on foot with only Sam's pony, Bill, to carry much of their baggage. Elrond stands with the elves, addressing their only hope of success.
The ring-bearer is setting out on the quest of Mount Doom. On you who travel with him, no oath nor bond is laid to go further than you will. Farewell. Hold to your purpose. May the blessing of elves and men and all free folk go with you.
Fellowship awaits the ring bearer.
Frodo slowly turns to the Fellowship and timidly makes his way to the head of the group. Frodo's POV, the faces of those who vowed to follow him watch as he makes his way to lead the Fellowship. Frodo leads the Fellowship out of Rivendell. He turns to Gandalf.
Mordor, Gandalf. Is it left or right?
Gandalf continues looking ahead.
Left.
Gandalf pushes his hand on Frodo's left shoulder. The Fellowship follows Frodo to Middle-earth. Aragorn turns to bid a silent farewell. Arwen stands in a group of elves watching him. He nods to her and follows the Fellowship out. Exterior Rivendell Valley, morning. The Fellowship climbs the long, steep path out of the cloven vale of Rivendell. Cut to exterior rough country south of Rivendell, day. The Fellowship trekking across the deep valleys and turbulent water. The misty mountains rise sharply on their left.
We must hold to this course west of the Misty Mountains for 40 days. If our luck holds, the Gap of Rohan will still be open to us. From there, our road turns east to Mordor.
Cut to exterior, Egregen Hills, dawn. Close on, Sam at the campfire, the sound of clashing swords. Arwen and Boromir are giving Pippin sword tuition.
Get away from the blade, Pippin. On your toes? Good, very good. I'm going to react, not think.
Shall not be too hard.
Move your feet.
Quite good, Pippin.
Thanks.
Gimli has managed to corner Gandalf.
If anyone were to ask for my opinion, which I know they have not, I would say we are taking the long way around. Gandalf, we can pass through the mines of Moria. My cousin Balin would give us a royal welcome.
Gandalf clearly thinks this is a bad idea.
No, Gimli, I would not take the road through Moria unless I had no other choice.
Boromir thrusts, catching Pippin on the hand. Pippin throws down his sword, kicks, and lunges at Boromir, tackling him to the ground. Much laughter. Legolas's eyes are fixed on a distant dark patch which darts about the sky, like flying smoke on the wind.
What is that?
Nothing. It's just a wisp of cloud.
Moving fast. Against the wind.
Cribbing. From Dunland.
Hide.
Merry, Pippin, Sam, take cover!
wide on the Fellowship as they scramble under what little cover there is, as a regiment of dark crows fly overhead at great speed, wheeling and circling above. As their dark shadow passes over the Fellowship, a single harsh croak is heard, and the crows suddenly wheel away, back towards the south. Gandalf staggers to his feet.
Spies of Saruman, the passage south is being watched.
Gandalf looks at Aragorn, turns to the others, gestures towards a high mountain pass.
We must take the pass of Carahas.
Cut 2. Exterior, snowy mountainside day. The Fellowship clamber through rock and snow. Frodo slips on some shale as he scrambles to his feet. The ring falls on the ground. Close on, the ring gleaming in the snow. Boromir's hand picks it up by the chain. He stands, the ring dangling before his eyes. It seems to grow in stature, as if absorbing its power. Aragorn warily approaches Boromir. Boromir is motionless. He stares at the ring, as if transfixed.
Boromir?
Strange fate that we should suffer so much fear and doubt over so small a thing. Such a little thing.
Boromir, give the ring to Frodo.
Aragorn's hand moves to his sword's hilt. The ring's POV looking at Boromir's face. On the soundtrack, the strange hum vibrates. A weird, Biphetic smile lights up on Boromir's face. The hum grows to a deafening roar. Boromir suddenly snaps out of the trance and hands the ring to Frodo.
As you wish. I cannot.
Boromir smiles at Frodo, ruffling his hair. Aragorn unhands his sword. Cut 2. Exterior, Isengard day. Following the crows as they race deeper and deeper, passing the vista of industry, hundreds of orcs in writhing birth sacks, flying past Saruman, who stands on a wooden gantry, close on Saruman as he listens to the cries of the crows.
So, Gandalf, you tried to lead them over Caradhras. If that fails, where then will you go?
Insert image. The Fellowship struggles through the snow on Caradhras.
If the mountain defeats you, will you risk a more dangerous road?
Cut to the exterior, pass of Caradhras day. The Fellowship are struggling along a blinding blizzard up towards the pass of Caradhras. Legolas, the elf, moves lightly towards the top of the snow. He suddenly pauses. Saruman's voice sweeps on the wind.
Quavan Wakul Carnerase, Nair Vaxie Rasalie.
There's a fell voice on the air.
It's Saruman.
Thunder rumbles. Rock and shale fall from above.
He's trying to bring the mountain. Gandalf, we must turn back.
No.
Gandalf raises his staff. He chants into the wind.
Musto Carahas, Sedo, Holdo, Dolatho, Echrafil.
Cut to exterior Isengard day. The camera sweeps past Saruman. He stands on the pinnacle of Orthanc, chanting.
Quavan Wakul Carnerase, Nair Vaxie Rasalia, Tortuvunoto Karenar.
Clouds are flowing from all directions, converging on the distant mountains in a snowy maelstrom. Exterior, the pass of Caradhras day. Saruman's voice strengthens, rolling past the Fellowship like thunder. A lightning crack explodes on the mountainside above them. Angle on Frodo, as he looks up in horror as a huge snow avalanche thunders down toward them. Legolas pulls Gandalf to safety. Aragorn shields Frodo and Sam as the snow piles all around them. Within moments, the pass is blocked and the Fellowship are enveloped in snow. Boromir and Aragorn frantically dig for the hobbits, who are pulled out shivering and fearful.
We must get off the mountain. Make for the Gap of Rohan and take the west road to my city.
The Gap of Rohan takes us too close to Isengard.
We cannot pass over a mountain. Let us go under it. Let us go through the mines of Moria.
Gandalf has a concerned look on his face.
Moria. You fear to go into those mines, don't you? The dwarves dwell too deep, delve too greedily and too deep.
Interior Orthanc antechamber day. Angle on Saruman as he sits in Orthanc reviewing an ancient text, the book showing the door to Moria.
You know what they awoke in the darkness of Khazad-dûm. Shadow and flame.
Close on an image of a fearful creature, wreathed in flame. Cut to the pass of Caradhras day.
Let the ring bearer decide.
Close on Frodo, the weight of the decision weighing heavily upon him. Close on Merry and Pippin, shivering in Boromir's arms.
Frodo?
Frodo meets Gandalf's eye.
We will go through the mines.
Gandalf slowly nods.
So be it.
Cut to Exterior, the west base of the Misty Mountains, dusk. Wide on the Fellowship as they make their way to the shadow of the ruins of the great aqueduct in the mist and ice of the mountains. Angelon Gandalf as he beckons to Frodo.
Frodo, come and help an old man.
Angelon Frodo as he comes forward and allows Gandalf to lean on him.
How was your shoulder?
Better than it was.
Gandalf stops.
And the ring? You feel its power growing, don't you? I felt it too. You must be careful now. Evil will be drawn to you from outside the Fellowship, and I fear from within.
Angelon Boromir as he passes them. They glance at him.
Who then do I trust?
You must trust yourself. Trust your own strengths.
What do you mean?
There are many powers in this world, for good or for evil. Some are greater than I am. Against some I have not yet been tested.
Close on Gimli as he comes to the top of the path and looks on in wonder.
The walls of Moria.
Wide on the Fellowship as they stand before a looming cliff cut into the sheer formation. Exterior, Moria Gate, night. Footing is treacherous on the narrow steps of green and greasy stones. Angelon Gimli as he taps the wall with his axe, listening. Gandalf does the same with his staff.
Dwarf doors are invisible when closed.
Yes, Gimli. Their own masters cannot find them if their secrets are forgotten.
Why doesn't that surprise me?
Close on Gimli as he sniffs the air with disgust at the comment. Gandalf approaches a smooth rock wall between two twisted, gnarled trees. Slowly, faint lines appear like slender veins of a luminous silver running through the stone.
Isildur. It mirrors only starlight and moonlight.
A large moon rises over the mountains. The lines on the wall grow broader and clearer, forming a growing arch of interlacing ancient letters and symbols.
It reads, The Door of Durin, Lord of Moria. Speak, friend, and enter.
What do you suppose that means?
It's simple. If you're a friend, you speak the password and the doors will open.
Gandalf raises his arms.
Anon ederhelm doro he harmin.
The cliff towers into the night. The wind blows cold. Frodo shivers, and the door stands fast. Undaunted, Gandalf raises his arms again.
Finis nokofrim, asto beth lamin.
Nothing's happening.
Angelon Gandalf as he glances at him, annoyed. He begins to push on the doors, but they remain fast.
I once knew every spell in all of the tongues of elves, men, and orcs.
What are you going to do then?
Knock your head against these doors, Peregrine Took. If that does not shatter them, and I am allowed a little peace from foolish questions, I will try to find the opening words.
Later, Gandalf continues, mumbling spells in his efforts to open the door.
Mundo hera quin, lasta quintaya, finda, kasarwina.
Angelon Sam as he packs pots and pans at his feet, watching sadly as Aragorn unsaddles Bill the pony. Close on Aragorn whispering to Bill.
Mines are no place for a pony, even one as brave as Bill.
Bye, Bill.
Go on, Bill. Go on. Don't worry, Sam. He knows his way home.
Aragorn slaps Bill on the rump and Bill goes trotting off. Close on Sam, watching Bill disappear into the darkness. Splash! Merry and Pippin are tossing stones into the lake. Black rippling rings slowly fan out. Pippin is about to throw another stone, but Aragorn grabs his arm.
Do not disturb the water.
Aragorn watches anxiously as the ripples appear to grow. He exchanges a look with Boromir. Aragorn's hand creeps towards his sword. Angelon, Gandalf gives up in despair as he sits down beside Frodo. Close on, Frodo peers at the Elvish inscription. His face breaks into a smile of comprehension.
It's a riddle.
Gandalf raises his eyebrows.
Speak, friend, and enter. What's the Elvish word for friend?
Yeah. Yawn.
With that, the rock face silently divides in the middle, and two great doors swing outwards, revealing a blackness deeper than night. As the Fellowship enters the blackness, something in the water stirs. Interior, Moria Gate night. The Fellowship step warily into the darkness of Moria, a dank cavern with winding steps leading deeper into the mountains.
Soon, Master Elf, you will enjoy the fabled hospitality of the dwarves. Roaring fires, malt beer, red meat off the bone. This, my friend, is the home of my cousin Balin, and they call this a mine. A mine!
A glow from Gandalf's staff suddenly lights the chamber. The Fellowship recoils in horror. Many dwarf skeletons are strewn about, clearly in the dead of some old battle. The rusting armor and shields are peppered with arrows and axes.
It's no mine. It's a tomb.
Oh. No! No! No!
Legolas pulls a crude arrow out of a skeleton.
Goblins.
The Fellowship draw swords and back away towards the entrance.
We make for the Gap of Rohan. We should never have come here.
Exterior Moria Gate Knight. Angle on Frodo as he suddenly pulled to the ground. A long, sinuous tentacle is wrapped around Frodo's ankle and is dragging him towards the lake. Frodo cries out as Aragorn and Boromir rush forward. Aragorn severs the tentacle, holding Frodo, and pulls him to safety. Boromir hacks the other writhing limbs. 20 more tentacles ripple out of the lake. The dark water boils with a hideous beast that lashes out at the Fellowship. Again, the creature grabs Frodo and pulls him to the lake. Frodo is flung into the air as the Fellowship battle the creature. Aragorn hacks at the tentacle. Frodo is released, falling into Boromir's arm.
Into the mines.
Legolas!
Legolas shoots an arrow into the creature's head, gaining a few vital seconds for Aragorn and Boromir as they race out of the water with Frodo. The Fellowship hurries back away from the creature, retreating into the Moria chamber as many coiling arms seize the large doors. Interior Moria Gate Night. With a shattering echo, the creature rips the doors away, creating a rock slide that crashes down the cliff face. Within seconds, tons of rock seal the doorway, throwing the Fellowship into pitch blackness. Angelon, a faint light, rises from Gandalf's staff, throwing a creepy glow across the old wizard's face.
We have now but one choice, which is no choice at all. We must face the long dark of Moria. Be on your guard. There are older and fouler things than the orcs in the deep places of the world.
Cut to interior New Chamber, Moria, night. Wide on the Fellowship, crossing a precarious bridge above deep mine workings.
Quietly now, it's a 4-day journey to the other side. Let us hope that our presence will go unnoticed.
Interior Moria Mithril Mine, night. Angle on the Fellowship as they enter a chamber with old ropes and ancient ladders. Angle on Gandalf as he touches a shining substance on the wall.
The wealth of Moria was not in gold or jewels, but in mithril.
Gandalf holds out his staff over the expansive drop beside them. The Fellowship looks down. Angle on the endless depth of the mine. A faint blue glow issues from its depths. It looks all but abandoned. The Fellowship continues onward.
Bilbo had a shirt of mithril rings that Thorin gave him.
Oh, that is a kingly gift.
Yes, I never told him, but whose worth was greater than the value of the Shire.
Close on as Frodo's eyes widen. Cut to interior Moria Cemetery Cavern, night. They continue up a steep stair, passing through a dwarf cemetery. The graves are despoiled. Dwarf skeletons are strewn about. The goblin graffitis is scrawled on monuments in dried dwarf blood. The atmosphere is very sinister. Cut to interior Moria Tunnel Fork, night. The path splits into 3 passages, each disappearing into a dark tunnel. Gandalf pauses, frowning.
I have no memory of this place.
Later, the Fellowship are nervously waiting while Gandalf sits, staring intently at the 3 tunnel mouths in front of them. He appears to be in some kind of trance. Close on Frodo as he turns to the sound of a faint noise down the tunnel behind them.
Are we lost?
No, I don't think we are. Gandalf's thinking.
Mary,
What?
I'm hungry.
Frodo's POV. A sudden glimpse of a creature darting in the darkness. Frodo is nervous. He approaches Gandalf.
There's something down there.
It's Gollum.
Gollum?
He's been following us for 3 days.
Teasing shot. An emaciated, leering creature.
He escaped from the dungeons of Barad-dûr?
Escaped, or was set loose. And now the ring has drawn him here. He will never be rid of his need for it. He hates and loves the ring, as he hates and loves himself. Smeagol's life is a sad story.
Gandalf catches Frodo's look of surprise.
Yes, Smeagol, he was once told, before the ring came to him, before it drove him mad.
Gollum's withered fingers are gripping the cave wall, his large, luminous eyes blinking with malice.
It's a pity Bilbo didn't kill him when he had the chance.
Pity? It was pity that stayed Bilbo's hand. Many that live deserve death, and some that die deserve life. Can you give it to them, Frodo?
Frodo frowns.
Do not be too eager to deal out death and judgment. Even the very wise cannot see all ends. My heart tells me that Gollum has some part to play yet, for good or ill, before this is over. The pity of Bilbo may rule the fate of many.
I wish the ring had never come to me. I wish none of this had happened.
So do all who live to see such times. But that is not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to us.
There is a note of finality in Gandalf's voice.
There are other forces at work in this world, Frodo, besides the will of evil. Bilbo was meant to find the ring, in which case you also were meant to have it. And that is an encouraging thought. Ah, it's that way.
Gandalf points at the right-hand tunnel. The Fellowship scramble to their feet.
He's remembered.
No, but the air doesn't smell so foul down here. If in doubt, Meriadoc, always follow your nose. Yes.
Interior, Dwarfendelf chamber, Moria day. The Fellowship pass under an arched doorway into a black and empty chamber. Gandalf pauses.
Let me risk a little more light.
Gandalf taps his staff, and for a brief moment a light blazes, like a silent flash of lightning. Great shadows spring up and flee.
Behold, the great realm and dwarf city of Dwardelf.
Angle on Frodo as he gasps at the brief sight of the roof, far above their heads, upheld by many mighty pillars of stone. Before them stretches a huge empty hall with black walls polished and smooth as glass.
Well, there's an eye-opener and no mistake.
Ahead of them, a wooden door has been smashed. Black arrows are embedded into the timbers. 2 goblin skeletons lie at the doorway. Gimli rushes ahead.
Gimli!
Cut to interior Balin's tomb, Moria day. Gimli rushes into another vast empty chamber, lit with a narrow shaft of sunlight, beaming in with a small hole near the roof. Dwarf and goblin skeletons are piled high. In the far corner sits a stone-walled well. A shaft of light falls directly onto a stone table in the middle of the room. A single oblong dock about 4 feet high, topped with a great slab of white stone. Gimli falls to his knees.
No! No! Oh no!
Gimli sobs. Gimli quietly reads the inscription of runes carved into the white stone slab.
Here lies Balin, son of Fundin, Lord of Moria. He is a dead thing.
Your man,
Does
Lord need. Zaram, Kaliorat, Narakele, Zaram, Balin, Safili.
Gandalf carefully lifts the rotting remains of a book from the white stone slab. It has been slashed and stabbed and appears to be covered in dried blood. The pages crack and break as he opens it.
Must move on. We cannot linger.
We've taken the bridge in the second hole. We have barred the gates, but cannot hold them for long. The ground shakes, drums in the deep. We cannot get out. A shadow moves in the dark. No one save us. They are coming.
Unnerved, Pippin backs away nervously. He stumbles against the wall, sending a precariously balanced armored skeleton tumbling in. Merry reaches out, grabbing a hold of Pippin before he falls. The Fellowship freeze in stunned silence as the armored skeleton clatters down the deep well, echoing loudly. Gandalf turns angrily to Pippin.
Fool of a took! Throw yourself in next time I rid us of your stupidity.
Pippin, chastened. They fall silent. A low rolling boom rises from the depths below, growing louder. Boom. Boom, as if the caverns of Moria were turned into a vast drum. A great horn blasts nearby, answering horns, running feet, harsh cries. Sam's eyes glance at Frodo's belt.
Mr. Frodo?
Frodo looks down. A cold blue glow is emanating from Sting's scabbard. Frodo draws the sword and stares at the glowing blade.
Books!
Get back. Stay close to Gandalf.
Aragorn and Boromir slam and wedge the doors. Boromir catches sight of something. He turns to Aragorn with shock in his eyes.
They have a cave troll.
Gimli snatches up 2 rusty dwarf axes and leaps into the tomb.
Let them come. There's one dwarf yet in Moria who still draws breath.
Boom! The door bursts open in a shower of wood fragments, and 20 goblins charge into the tomb, followed by a huge cave troll. Gimli ducks a blow and immediately buries his axe into 2 goblin helmets. Aragorn and Boromir wade into the mass of goblins with their swords. Legolas fires deadly arrows into goblin throats, desperately trying to shield the hobbits. Gandalf is clutching his sword, Gamdring, and joins into the battle. The cave troll is sweeping his club at Aragorn, who stumbles backwards. The huge club descends for a killing blow. Suddenly, in a flash of steel, Boromir's long sword slices into the scaly arm of the troll. It rears back, spewing green blood. Sam is backed up against a wall, the sword in one hand, a saucepan in the other. In desperation, he swings wildly at a goblin with the saucepan. It keels over. Sam looks surprised. He wallops the other goblin, and it too drops.
I think I'm getting the hang of this.
The cave troll lunges forward, thrusting at Frodo's chest with a spear.
Aragorn! Aragorn!
Sam screams as Frodo is lifted off of his feet by the spear tip and slammed against the wall.
Frodo!
The hobbits go crazy. Sam slashes at the cave troll's knee, bringing him down. Merry and Pippin jump at him. Legolas fires an arrow, and the cave troll topples, dead. Aragorn rushes to Frodo's side as he slumps to the floor. Frodo appears to be dead. A close-up on Gandalf, Aragorn, and the hobbits looking horrified. Suddenly, Frodo coughs and takes a huge breath.
He's alive.
I'm all right. I'm not hurt.
You should be dead. That spear would have screwed in a wild boar.
I think there's more to this hobbit than meets the eye.
Frodo opens his shirt to reveal the mithril vest. The troll spear did not pierce the mithril.
Mithril, you're full of surprises, Master Baggins.
Boom, boom, boom. The sound of drums ring out again. Gandalf turns to the others.
To the bridge of Khazad-dûm.
Cut to interior Dwarfendelf chamber, Moria, day. Gandalf leads the fellowship into the huge Dwarfendelf chamber.
This way.
They hurry toward the distant door as goblins start scuttling down the pillars towards them like cockroaches. Frodo looks on with horror at the overwhelming goblin army that's rushing towards them. Suddenly, a deafening roar fills the air. A fiery light dances down the hallway, the pillars casting eerie shadows. The goblins freeze. They back fearfully away from the approaching beast, melting into the darkness.
What is this new devilry?
A huge shadow, surrounded by flame, falls across the hall. The ground shakes, and an unearthly sound rumbles.
Balrog, a demon of the ancient world. His foe is beyond any of you. Run, quickly.
Cut to stairway of Khazad-dûm, Moria, day. The Balrog, a massive creature, rises from the chasm, a great 40-foot man-beast with a mane of flame. In one hand is a blade like a stabbing tongue of fire, in the other a whip of many throngs. Angle on Aragorn as he leads the fellowship to the top of a dizzying stairway. Gandalf follows, leaning heavily on his staff. Aragorn looks at Gandalf, concerned.
Lead them on, Aragorn. The bridge is near.
Aragorn hesitates, and Gandalf looks at him.
Do as I say. Swords are no more use here.
The fellowship race down the stairway. Aragorn picks up Frodo, leaping across the gaping chasm. Gandalf yells at the others. Aragorn makes to throw Gimli across the chasm.
Nobody tosses a dwarf.
The Balrog smashes through the wall and spreads its vast wings. It swoops down past the fellowship, disappearing into a flaming pit. Cut to interior, the bridge of Khazad-dûm, Moria, day. The fellowship run into a second hall. The floor is split open and fissures that spit flame.
Over the bridge, fly.
They race towards the slender bridge of stone, without curb or rail to the far end of the hall. The fellowship recklessly hurry over the dizzying bridge, but Gandalf, the last, pauses in the middle of the span. He faces the Balrog, staff in one hand, Gamdring in the other. Frodo looks back in horror.
You cannot pass.
Gandalf!
I am a servant of the secret fire, wielder of the flame of Anor. The dark fire will not avail you, flame of Udun.
Frodo watches the Balrog puts one foot on the bridge and draws up to full height, wings spreading from wall to wall. Gandalf is a tiny figure, balanced precariously on the narrow bridge.
Go back to the shadow.
The Balrog slashes at Gandalf with its sword of flame. Gandalf blocks with Gamdring. A ringing clash as the Balrog's sword shatters into molten fragments.
You shall not pass.
The Balrog places one foot upon the bridge.
You cannot stand alone. Edward, I am with you, Gandalf.
Gondor!
Aragorn and Boromir race forward, swords drawn. Gandalf cries aloud as he summons his last reserves of strength. He thumps the bridge with his staff. A blinding sheet of white flame springs up. The staff shatters. The bridge breaks right at the Balrog's feet. The stone bridge drops away into a gulf, and from under the Balrog. For a moment, the great beast remains poised in the air. Then it plunges down. Slow motion, relief floods Frodo's face. Gandalf remains trembling on the lip of the broken bridge. Slow motion, as the Balrog falls, the lash of his whip, he lashes out with a whip of fire. The throngs of the whip lash and curl around Gandalf's knees, dragging him over to the brink. Gandalf just manages to hang on by his fingertips.
Gandalf!
Die, you fools.
Close on Gandalf as he lets go of his grip and falls away, following the Balrog into the bottomless abyss. Frodo cries out. Boromir scoops him up and carries him away.
No!
Gandalf.
They rush towards the archway. Cut to, exterior, Dimrel Dare door, day. The Fellowship tumble out of the great easternly gate on the grassy sunlit hill. Sam, Merry, and Pippin fall away to the ground, sobbing. Angle on Aragorn as he turns to Legolas and Gimli.
Legolas, get them up.
Give them a moment for pity's sake.
By nightfall, these hills will be swarming with orcs. We must reach the woods of Longarand. Come, Boromir, Legolas, Gimli, get them up. On your feet, Sam.
Boromir glances towards Frodo, then back at Aragorn. Frodo is walking away, as if in a daze.
Frodo.
Frodo slowly turns, a look of numb shock on his devastated face. The Fellowship marches on. Cut to, exterior, Dimril Dale, hillside, dusk. Aragorn scours scours the head of the company as they stumble on into the fading light. In the distance, the shimmer of a large forest can be seen. Lothlorien. The edge of Lothlorien, dusk. Wide on the Fellowship as they run across the forest floor strewn with yellow flowers. Above is a roof of golden leaves held up by silver pillars, the trunks of huge gray leaves. Legolas, standing in those surroundings as if a return home.
Ah, Lothlorien, the fairest of all the lands of my people. There are no trees like the trees of this land. For the autumn, leaves fall not, but turn to gold. Not till spring comes, new green opens they fall. And then the boughs are laden with yellow flowers. The floor of the wood is golden, and then golden is the roof, and its pillars are silver, but the bark of the trees is smooth and gray. So still are songs and Mirkwood say.
In contrast, Gimli looks nervously around.
Stay close, young hobbits. They say a great sorceress lives in these woods, an elf witch of terrible power. All who look upon her fall under her spell.
Frodo hesitates. A strange voice whispers in his head.
Frodo,
And are never seen again.
you're coming to us, as does the footsteps of doom. You bring great evil here, Ringbearer.
Mr. Frodo?
Well, here's one dwarf she won't ensnare so easily. I have the eyes of a hawk and the ears of a fox.
The Fellowship are suddenly surrounded by armed elves. Some deadly arrows are aimed at their heads. Haldir, the elvish captain, steps forward.
The dwarf breathes so loudly we could have shot him in the dark.
Cut to. Interior, Saren Amroth, Lothlorien, night. Night is deepened amongst the windy trees. The Fellowship stand on a platform in the trees. Haldir greets them.
Me Govanen, Legolas Salandilin.
Govanes and Wale, Adenoloyan.
Angle on Haldir as he glances at Aragorn.
Ah, Aragorn, Induandain, Istalin, Len Aman.
Haldir.
So much for the legendary courtesy of the elves. Speak words we can't also understand.
We have not had dealings with the dwarves since the dark days.
You know what this dwarf says to that? Ishkagwi I Dorangnur.
Aragorn takes Gimli by the arm.
That sounds so courteous.
Haldir moves on to Frodo.
You bring great evil with you. You can go no further.
Haldir walks away. Sam and Pippin turn to look at Frodo. Frodo appears uncomfortable. Later, the Fellowship sit while Aragorn speaks with Haldir.
Boy amen valiantly, avelu even.
Haldir whispers back inaudibly.
Merin le talim.
Haldir enters quietly, again so that only Aragorn can hear his words.
Kenu aniron boy amen idilu lim.
Angelon, Frodo, as he looks to the remainder of the fellowship. As they meet his eyes, they look away, as if he has become a scourge to them. Aragorn continues to argue loudly with Haldir. Frodo, looking at his friends, sees blame that does not truly exist anywhere but in his mind. He is alone, it seems. Angelon and Aragorn as he pleads with Haldir.
Adelu event.
Boromir approaches Frodo.
Gandalf's death was not in vain, nor would he have you give up hope. You carry a heavy burden, Frodo. Don't carry the weight of the dead.
Haldir stands before Frodo.
Very well. Here we will stay a while and come to the city of Galadrim on the morrow.
Interior, Saren Amroth, Lothlorien Day. Angelon, Sam and Frodo, they sit in one of the many platforms on the trees of Saren Amroth. Sam suddenly looks up and around with a puzzled expression. He rubs his eyes.
What is it?
It's an odd thing, Mr. Frodo. Sunlight and a bright day, right enough. I thought the elves were all for moons and stars. This is more elvish than anything I've ever heard tell of. I feel as if I was inside of a song, if you take my meaning.
You feel the power of the Lady of Galadrim. Would it please you to climb up in Sarenama?
Frodo and Sam follow Haldir up a long series of platforms until they reach the pinnacle of the trees. Frodo and Sam approach the edge of the high platform and look out in wonder. A high, wide shot as Middle-earth stretches out for miles and miles to the north. Far to the north, a shadow lingers over the forest of Mirkwood. Haldir points the hobbit's gaze to the dark cloud.
There lies the fastness of the southern Mirkwood. It is clad in a forest of dark fir where the trees strive one against the other, and their branches rot and wither. In the midst, upon a stony height, stands Dol Guldur, where long the hidden enemy had his dwelling. We fear that now it is uninhabited again, and with power sevenfold. It is inhabited again, with power sevenfold. A black cloud lies often over it of late.
Pan on a wide shot from Orthanc to the west, across a magnificent shot to Mordor and Barad-dûr in the east.
In this high place you may see two powers that are opposing one to the other, and ever they strive now in thought. But whereas the light perceives the very heart of the darkness, it's our secret has not been discovered, not yet.
Haldir leaves the high place. With a final look, Frodo and Sam follow. Interior, Saren Amroth, Lothlorien Day. A small golden flower in someone's hand. Aragorn admiring the beauty of the flower.
Arwen, Vamilda, Namere.
Frodo approaches. Aragorn sighs, then turns to Frodo and smiles.
Here is the heart of Elvenham on earth, and here my heart dwells ever. Unless there be a light beyond the dark roads that we still must tread, you and I.
Do you believe we may yet succeed in our quest?
We shall endure to the last.
Cut to exterior, Lothlorien hilltop. Haldir leads the fellowship into the hilltop. They look with wonder at the vista spread before them. Wide, on several miles towards the south, a large hill rises out of the woods. Upon the hill rise many Melorn trees, taller than any others, nestled high into the crown of Melorn. It is a beautiful city. It gleams in the low rays of the afternoon, gold, green, and the east of Caras Aldun, the woods of Lorien run the Palim of Anadin Great River. The land is flat and empty, formless and vague. Far away, reads again into a dark, dreary hall that lies with Lothlorien, has not power to enlighten the shadows that lie.
Caras Galdon, the heart of Elvendom on earth. This is the city of Galadrim, where dwell the Lord Celeborn and of Galadriel, Lady of Light.
Cut to exterior, chamber, Caras Alhun. The ship step into a wide fleet filled with soft light. The wall in silver, the roof gold, and in its midst in the trunk a big gleam of the mighty oak tree, now tearing down towards its crown. Celeborn forward to greet guests. His hair is long and his face grave, with no sign of age upon it. To him, Galadriel, the lady of the elves. She has hair and deep, timeless, unsurpassed beauty. Celeborn looks at Aragorn.
The enemy knows you have entered here. What hope you had in secrecy is now gone. 8 there are here, yet 9 there were set out from Rivendell. Tell me, where is Gandalf? For I much desire to speak with him. I can no longer see him from afar.
Frodo looks at Galadriel, standing silently behind Celeborn.
Gandalf the Grey did not pass the borders of this land. He has fallen into the shadow.
He was taken by both shadow and flame, a Balrog of Morgoth, where we went needlessly to the net of Moria.
The Fellowship bow their heads in sadness at the memory of Gandalf. Celeborn appears surprised.
Needless were none of the deeds of Gandalf in life. We do not yet know his full purpose.
Galadriel surveys the face of the Fellowship. Gimli looks up as Galadriel addresses him.
Do not let the great emptiness of Khazad-dûm fill your heart, Gimli, son of Gloin. For the world has grown full of peril, and in all lands, love is now mingled with grief.
Galadriel looks over the Fellowship again to meet her gaze with Boromir's. Boromir is suddenly fearful and nervous. Galadriel's eyes piercing Boromir. Boromir turns away from her. Galadriel's gaze remains on him for a moment before turning to Celeborn.
What now becomes of this fellowship without Gandalf? Hope is lost.
Galadriel looks to Aragorn.
The quest stands upon the edge of a knife. Stray but a little, and it will fail, to the ruin of all. Yet hope remains while the company is true.
Galadriel's eyes settle on Sam.
Do not let your hearts be troubled. Go now and rest, for you are weary with the sorrow and much toil.
Galadriel's eyes turn to Frodo. Her voice fades.
Tonight you will sleep in peace. Welcome, Frodo of the Shire.
Close on Frodo as he looks to Galadriel. Sudden insert, Galadriel as she is on the other side, powerful, divine, no longer of this world, a piercing white light surrounds her.
One who has seen the eye.
Cut to exterior, Caris Galadon, Lothlorien, night. Gimli, Legolas, Merry, Pippin, Frodo, and Sam are in a Pavlovian set among the trees near the fountain. They lie in soft couches as elves leave food and wine for them. Mournful singing drifts down from the trees above.
A lament for Gandalf.
What do they say about him?
I have not the heart to tell you. For me, the grief is still too near.
Frodo lies on the bed watching the others. Sam works with Pippin. Frodo lies on his bed watching the others. Sam works with Pippin.
I bet they don't mention his fireworks. There should be a verse about them.
Sam stands up to add his own verse to the elven song.
The finest rockets ever seen, the bursting stars of blue and green, or after thunder, silver showers, come falling like a rain of flowers. Oh, that doesn't do them justice by a long road.
Sam sits down, frustrated and disappointed with himself. Boromir is sitting alone. Aragorn approaches him.
Take some rest. These borders are well protected.
Angle on the moonlight as it catches traces of tears on Boromir's face. Aragorn kneels beside him.
I will find no rest here. I heard her voice inside my head. She spoke of my father and the fall of Gondor. She said to me, even now, there is hope left. But I cannot see it. It is long since we had any hope.
Boromir looks at Aragorn in despair.
My father is a nobleman, but his rule is failing, and our people lose faith. He looks to me to make things right, and I would do it. I would see the glory of Gondor restored. Have you ever seen it, Aragorn? The White Tower of Escalon? glimmering like a spike of pearl and silver, its banners caught high in the morning breeze. Have you ever been called home by the clear ringing of silver trumpets?
I have seen the White Light. I have seen the White City long ago.
Boromir feels Aragorn's love for Minas Tirith and takes heart.
One day, our paths will lead us there, and the Tower Guard will take up the call. The Lords of Gondor have returned.
Aragorn returns Boromir's smile, betraying his disquiet sadness only when Boromir looks away. Later, the Fellowship are asleep on their beds. Gimli is snoring loudly. Bare feet tread soundlessly across the lawn. Frodo's eyes flicker open, as if by instinct. Galadriel, her white dress glowing in the moonlight, glances at him. Frodo follows her, as if drawn by an invisible force. Exterior, Galadriel's glade, Lothlorien night. Upon the low stone pedestal, carved into a branching tree, sits a shallow silver basin. Galadriel leads Frodo into a small glade.
Will you look into the mirror?
Frodo looks with apprehension at the silver basin.
Sorry. What will I see?
Galadriel pours water from the basin into the basin from a silver jug. A glow rises from the water.
Even the wisest cannot tell, for the mirror shows many things. Things that were, things that are, 1 minute. And some things have not yet come to pass.
Frodo slowly steps to the pedestal and peers into the glossy surface. The night sky is reflected in the water. Suddenly, a figure takes form, the bowed figure of an old man clad in white robes. He walks down a long road. Frodo leans closer to the mirror's surface, close on Gandalf as he lifts his head and looks directly at Frodo. Frodo gasps, his face lighting up with hope.
Gandalf!
Gandalf looks at Frodo with a fierce intensity. Frodo reaches out with his hand towards the surface of the mirror. Suddenly, the image flares, burning out to white. The vision shifts. Frodo gasps in horror, and the Shire is in ruins. The image suddenly widens to fill the screen, buildings burning, bodies strewn about, the dark shape of orcs looting and destroying Bag End, billowing in flames. The party tree is hacked down. Frodo reels back from the mirror as it seems to grow. The nightmarish image sweeps past his head, engulfing him entirely. Hobbiton is now an industrial wasteland, the fields and trees destroyed, replaced with brick factories, belching smoke. Orcs brutally herd manacled hobbits into the factories. We see Sam, Mary, and Rosie Cotton, soot-stained and sobbing. They disappear into the factory hellhole. Suddenly, the mirror goes dark, and out of the black abyss, a single eye grows. Close as Frodo is frozen. Unable to move or cry out, the ring dangles from his neck, inches from the water, now shimmering with curls of steam. Fire erupts from around the eye. With a yell, Frodo pushes himself away from the pedestal and collapses on the ground. Light instantly fades from the mirror. Frodo comes to his senses. He is shocked. Angle on Galadriel as she stands still as a statue, unmoved, untouched by the horror.
I know what it is you saw, for it is also in my mind. It is the future, Frodo. It is what will come to pass if you should fail.
Galadriel looks at Frodo intensely. Frodo looks down. In his hand, he is clutching the ring. Frodo looks up at Galadriel.
The Fellowship is breaking. It has already begun. He will try to take the ring. You know of whom I speak. One by one, it will destroy them all.
If you ask it of me, I will give you the One Ring.
You offered it to me freely. I do not deny that my heart has greatly desired this.
Galadriel suddenly seems to rise in stature before Frodo's eyes. Frodo is suddenly afraid of her.
In place of the Dark Lord, you would have a queen, not dark but beautiful, and terrible as the dawn. Treacherous as the sea, stronger than the foundations of the earth. All shall love me and despair.
Frodo takes a step away from Galadriel. Galadriel suddenly laughs, a slender elf woman once more, clad in simple white, her voice soft and sad.
I passed the test. Submit and go into the west and remain Galadriel.
Frodo's confidence drains away.
I cannot do this alone.
You are the ring bearer, Frodo. To bear a ring of power is to be alone.
Galadriel raises her hand to show Frodo her own ring.
This is Nina, the ring of adamant, and I am its keeper.
Galadriel lowers her head, hiding Nina once more.
This task was appointed to you, and if you do not find a way, no one will.
Frodo realizes what her message is.
Then I know what I must do. It's just, I'm afraid to do it.
Galadriel kneels down to Frodo's height, staring at him intently.
Even the smallest person can change the course of the future.
Close on the ring as it lies in the palm of Frodo's hand. His fingers close over it. Cut to interior Orthanc chamber, day. Naked, Lurt's eyes follow Saruman, alight with a mean intelligence.
Do you know how orcs first came into being? They were elves once, taken by the Dark Power, tortured and mutilated, a ruined and terrible form of life, and now perfected. My fighting Uruk-hai, whom do you serve?
Interior, the caverns below Isengard, day. Quick cuts. Lurtz is quickly armored. Breastplate, leg guards, helmet. A sword is thrust into Lurtz's hand. The Uruk-hai are smearing themselves with white paint. A creepy ritualistic ceremony. The white hand of Isengard is smeared on bodies, faces, and armor. Angle on Saruman as he addresses the crowd of 200 fully armored Uruk-hai.
Hunt them down. Do not stop until they are found. You do not know pain. You do not know fear. You will taste man-flesh.
Saruman turns to Lurtz.
One of the halflings carries something of great value. Bring them to me, alive and unspoiled. Kill the others.
Exterior Isengard, day. Lurtz is leading 200 Uruk-hai out of Isengard. They run fast, their powerful legs carrying them at speed. Exterior Silverlode Riverbank, dawn. The mists of morning lay heavy along the river. Bare branched tree arches through the fog, stray beams of light falling to the cold blue waters. Angle on, Galadriel approaches the bank of an elegant ship, carved into the likeness of a swan. Dissolved too, exterior, Silverlode shore, Lothlorien, dawn. Close on, a green, silver-veined elven leaf brooch is clasped. Elves clasp elf cloaks around the fellowship, each with a leaf brooch.
Never before have we clad strangers in the garb of our own people.
Celeborn addresses the fellowship.
May these cloaks help shield you from unfriendly eyes.
Exterior, Silverlode, Riverbank, Lothlorien, dawn. Legolas grabs a couple of packs and puts them in an elven boat. Merry and Pippin look up and pull a small piece of bread from one of the packs.
Embus, elvish wheat bread.
He takes a bite.
One small bite is enough to fill the stomach of a grown man.
He stuffs the remaining piece back into the pack and places it on the boats. Merry and Pippin nod as he walks away.
How many did you eat?
4.
Merry nods as he picks his teeth. Pippin belches. The fellowship continue to load the boats of their journey. Legolas helps Gimli onto the boat. Sam crawls into another boat and quickly reveals he has no measure of sea legs.
Every league you travel south, the danger will increase. Mordor orcs now hold the eastern shore of the Anduin, nor will you find safety on the western bank.
Exterior, Silverborn shore, Lothlorien, dawn. Celeborn and Aragorn walk toward the river.
Strange creatures bearing the white hand have been seen on our borders. Seldom do orcs journey into the open under the sun, yet these have done so.
Celeborn holds a dagger out to Aragorn. Aragorn takes the dagger and unsheathes it. It is a beautiful yet deadly work of art.
Li apat ayan.
Aragorn replaces the dagger in its sheath.
By river you have the chance of outrunning the enemy to the falls of Raros.
Exterior, Silverlode Riverbank, dawn. The Fellowship are in 3 small elven boats. Elves quietly watch them depart. Close on Legolas, remembering.
My gift for you, Legolas, is a bow of Galadriel, worthy of the skill of our woodland kind.
Insert flashback. Legolas lifts an elegant bow and tests its strength. Galadriel smiles and walks to Merry and Pippin. Merry removes a dagger from its sheath and gazes upon it.
These are the daggers of Noldorin. They have already seen service in war.
Pippin looks upon his gift with fear that he may have to use it. He casts his eyes upon Galadriel.
Do not fear, young Peregrine Took. You will find your courage.
End flashback. Close on Merry and Pippin as they ride expressionless in their boat. Close on Sam, remembering.
And for you, Samwise Gamgee, elven rope, made of Hithlian.
Insert flashback. Angle on Sam as he bows to her, accepting his gift.
Thank you, my lady.
He looks at Merry and Pippin, then back to Galadriel.
Have you run out of those nice shiny daggers?
Galadriel smiles, and Sam holds on to his rope, embarrassed. She moves to Gimli, who stares at the ground in her presence.
And what gift would a dwarf ask of the elves?
Gimli shakes his head quickly.
Nothing.
He looks up at her.
Except to look upon the lady of Galadriel one last time, for she is more fair than all the jewels beneath the earth.
Galadriel laughs. Gimli scowls at his foolishness and turns away. He recovers and turns back to her.
Actually, there's one thing. No, I couldn't. It's quite impossible. Stupid.
And flashback. Close on Gimli as he rides silently before Legolas. He closes his eyes, allowing the memory to flood into his head. Close on Aragorn, remembering. Insert flashback. Angle on Galadriel as she stands before Aragorn.
Sorry. I have nothing greater to give you than the gift you already bear.
Close on, she touches the Evenstar pendant Aragorn wears.
And Methlindin, I Iant and Gild Arwen, Udel, Helethia.
Aneron en Ebrothionen ad Parazan, Amarhen, Aneron en Sirata ed Valanor.
What choice is set before her? You have your own choice to make, Aragorn.
Aragorn straightens before her.
To rise above the height of all your fathers since the day of Elendil, or to fall into darkness with all that is left of your kin.
Silence follows. Branches shake, a spider's web glimmering strands away in the wind. Galadriel glances at the pendant and smiles.
Nemari.
Aragorn bows to her and turns to leave. Galadriel stops him.
Nirafna I Moyo Search Dan Unvedem Elasa.
End flashback. Close on Frodo as he rides at the head of the boat.
Farewell, Frodo Baggins.
Insert flashback. Galadriel gives Frodo a small crystal vial.
I give you the light of Erendil, our most beloved star.
Galadriel leans over and kisses his head. End of flashback. As the Fellowship's boats drift past, Galadriel stands alone, watching from the banks of the river. In his head, Frodo still hears her voice.
May it be a light for you in dark places, when all other lights go out.
Close on Gimli, riding at the head of the boat, paddled by Legolas.
I have taken my worst wound at this parting, having looked at my last upon that which is fairest. Henceforth, I will call nothing fair unless it will be her gift to me.
What was her gift?
I asked her for 1 hair from her golden head. She gave me 3.
Close on Legolas as he smiles. Exterior, River Anduin, day. The boats pass through the great river Anduin. The 3 elven boats carry the Fellowship steadily southwards. Green trees slowly give way to a brown, withered land. Exterior, forest, day. The orc forces are running through the trees with deadly purpose. Exterior, the river Anduin, day. A flock of birds circle high above, black against the pale sky. Aragorn watches them with concern. The 3 boats are safely stored on the bank out of the water. Aragorn hides behind a rock watching the river. A log floats down the river. A hand grasps at the log and pulls itself onto it. Who or whatever it is seems to be trying to remain concealed from the eyes of the Fellowship. Aragorn approaches from behind Boromir.
Gollum, he has tracked us since Moria.
Gollum's POV. Gollum watches as Boromir and Aragorn stand behind the rock. The log runs into a rock on the opposite side of the river and stops.
I had hoped we would lose him on the river,
Aragorn and Boromir continue to watch Gollum.
but he's too clever a waterman.
If he alerts the enemy to our whereabouts, it will make the crossing even more dangerous.
Frodo listens to the exchange between Aragorn and Boromir. He looks worried.
Have some food, Mr. Frodo.
No, Sam.
We haven't eaten anything all week. You're not sleeping neither. Don't think I haven't noticed.
Sam moves from the campfire to sit with Frodo.
Mr. Frodo.
I'm all right.
But you're not. I'm here to help you. Promise Gandalf that I would.
Frodo looks at Sam, sadly, with the full weight of knowledge of what he must do.
You can't help me, Sam. Not this time. Get some sleep.
Frodo turns away from Sam and returns to his own thoughts. Reluctantly, Sam concedes and leaves Frodo alone. Boromir turns away from the rock to Aragorn.
Minas Tirith is the safer road. You know that. Where we can regroup, strike out for Mordor from a place of strength.
There is no strength in Gondor that can unveil us.
You're quick enough to trust the elves.
Aragorn doesn't respond, but listens impatiently.
Have you so little faith in your own people? Yes, there is weakness. But there is courage also, and honor to be found in men. But you will not see that.
Aragorn turns away from Boromir. Boromir grabs Aragorn's tunic and turns Aragorn to him.
You are afraid.
Frodo listens intently to Boromir arguing with Aragorn.
In your life, you have hidden in the shadows.
Aragorn calmly listens to Boromir's ravings.
Scared of who you are, of what you are.
Aragorn adjusts his tunic and turns away from Boromir. Boromir is speechless. Aragorn turns back to him.
I will not leave the ring within 100 leagues of your city.
Cut 2. Exterior River Anduin, day. Angelon Boromir, still feeling the defeat from the previous evening, paddles down the river along with the rest of the Fellowship. He glances scathingly towards Aragorn. Angelon Aragorn as he refuses to return the glance. Exterior Pillar of the Kings, River Anduin, day. The 3 elf boats drift slowly towards the steep rocky gorge in the pre-dawn light. Close on Aragorn, slowly paddling to the stern.
Frodo?
Frodo slowly looks up. His eyes widen with amazement. Wide on 2 enormous rock statues towering like 300-foot pinnacles on either side of the river, carved images of Gondorian kings of old. They loom over the boats with power and majesty.
The Argona.
Close on Aragorn, strangely moved by the beauty of the silent sentinels. He speaks almost as if to himself.
Long have I desired to look upon the kings of old, my kin.
The Fellowship stare in stunned silence as the current takes them through the narrow gap at the statue's feet. Wide on, craning up past the statue's vast crumbling heads to reveal a large lake only a mile downriver. Exterior, the shore of Nen Hithoel day. Angle on the Fellowship as they leap out of the boats and clamber to the wood shore.
We cross the lake at nightfall, hide the boats, and continue on foot. We approach Mordor from the north.
Oh yes, just a simple matter of finding our way through Emyn Muil, an impassable labyrinth of razor-sharp rocks. And after that, it gets even better. A festering, stinking marshland as far as the eye can see.
That is our road. I suggest you take some rest and recover your strength, Master Dwarf.
Recover my...
Legolas turns to Aragorn with urgency.
We should leave now.
No. Orcs patrol the eastern shore. You must wait to cover off darkness.
It's not the eastern shore that worries me.
Legolas casts a glance towards the Parth-Galen forest.
A shadow and a threat has been growing in my mind. Something draws near. I can feel it.
Aragorn looks at Legolas, knowing full well what he means. Sam has slumped asleep. Merry dumps a small pile of kindling at Gimli's feet.
Where's Frodo?
Sam sits up with a start. Aragorn's head snaps around. His eyes fly to Boromir's shield, which lies abandoned by his camp bed. Close on Aragorn, as he realizes Boromir is gone. Exterior, the slopes of Amon Hen, day. Frodo is walking beneath the trees, lost in thought. His feet hit the rough edge of an ancient stone slab. His eyes follow an overgrown path towards stone stairs heading towards the summit of Amon Hen, the seeing seat. A crackling sound. Frodo freezes.
None of us should wander alone. You least of all. So much depends on you. Frodo.
Angelon, Frodo, who turns away slowly. He stares at Boromir, tense, cautious.
I know why you seek solitude. You suffer. I see it day by day. Are you sure you do not suffer needlessly?
Frodo stands silent for a moment. The murmur of the wind in the trees and the distant roar of the falls of Rhoros can be heard.
Let me help you. There are other ways, Frodo. Other paths that we might take.
I know what you would say, and it would sound like wisdom, but for the warning of my heart.
Warning? Against what?
Boromir has started forward towards Frodo. Frodo backs away from him.
We're all afraid, Frodo. But to let that fear drive us to destroy that hope we have. Don't you see? That is madness.
There is no other way.
I ask only for the strength to defend my people. If you would but lend me the ring.
No.
Frodo steps hurriedly away from Boromir.
Why do you recoil? I am no thief.
You are not yourself.
What chance do you think you have? They will find you. They will take the ring and you will beg for death before the end.
Frodo turns to leave.
You fool! It is not yours, saved by unhappy chance. It might have been mine. It should have been mine. Give it to me! Give me the ring!
Boromir leaps on top of Frodo, grasping for the ring. Frodo has only moments to act. Frodo rips the ring from around his neck and jams it onto his finger. Frodo disappears. Boromir spins wildly, yelling into thin air.
I see your mind. You will take the ring to Sauron. You will betray us. You go to your death and the death of us all. Curse you! Curse you and all your halflings!
Boromir stumbles and falls. His body shakes as if in the throes of a fit. Slowly, he comes to.
Frodo? Frodo? What have I done? Please, Frodo!
Exterior, seeing seat, day. In the Twilight World, Frodo races through the misty Twilight World, passing the foggy shapes of twisted trees. Somewhere beneath him, Boromir's distraught voice carries as if from another dimension.
I'm sorry, Frodo! Frodo!
Frodo suddenly finds himself on the stone steps. He clambers up the stairs onto a high seat, perched on the 4 stone pillars. Frodo cowers the seat like a lost child upon the throne of mountain kings. The world of mist swirls around him. Frodo peers out from the seat. The world seems to shrink in all directions. Views of a far-off world telescope towards him through the mist. Images. Orcs spill out of holes in the misty mountains. Flames rise from Mirkwood. Grim faces Easterlings march to war. Black ships sail in the south. All the power of the Dark Lord is in motion. Frodo moves his gaze to the east. Fire explodes against the smoke, and a huge mass of black battlements fill Frodo's vision. The mountain of iron, immeasurably strong tower of adamant, Barad-dûr, the fortress of Sauron. Suddenly, Sauron's eye leaps forward towards Frodo like a finger of light. They will fall. Angle on Frodo as he leaps out of his seat and tumbles down the stairs. The eye sweeps Amon Hen like a searchlight, seeking its ring. With a huge effort, Frodo wrenches the ring off of his finger. Exterior, summit of Amon Hen, day. Frodo lies gasping at the summit of Amon Hen, below the ancient ruins of the Seeing Seat. At that moment, a black boot steps into shot. Frodo looks up as Aragorn towers over him.
Frodo.
It has taken Boromir.
Aragorn moves towards Frodo.
Where is the ring?
Frodo backs away from Aragorn. Aragorn is shocked by the movement.
Stay away.
Frodo, I swore to protect you.
Can you protect me from yourself?
Frodo uncurls his fist, and in the palm lies the ring. It glints, golden, beautiful in the afternoon sun. Aragorn's eyes are drawn to it.
Would you destroy it?
Aragorn, Elsa.
I would have gone with you to the end, into the very fires of Mordor.
I know. Look after the others, especially Sam. He will not understand.
Aragorn freezes. He draws his sword.
Go, Frodo.
Frodo hesitates.
Run! Run!
Frodo backs away into the trees. Angle, as 200 Uruk-hai swarm onto Amon Hen behind Aragorn. Aragorn attacks the leading Uruk-hai like a madman. He brings down two with his sword, leaping into the ruins as the others close in on him. Angle on Frodo as he scrambles down the hillside away from the fight. Aragorn battles the Uruk-hai amongst the pillars of blocks of Amon Hen. Despite his bravery, he is quickly surrounded. Suddenly, elven arrows smash into the Uruk-hai. Legolas races out of the woods, firing his bow. Gimli leaps into battle, wielding his mighty axe. Exterior, Parthgalen hillside, day. Frodo is darting down the hillside as heavy feet thunder down after him.
Mr. Frodo!
Angle on Sam as he looks around for Frodo. Close on Lurtz, ordering his orcs.
That's me, isn't it? Sorry. We are 164, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Find the halflings! Find the halflings!
Frodo stumbles and falls. Quickly, he crawls behind a tree. Above him, the sound of an Uruk-hai crashing through the forest rings out.
Frodo!
Frodo turns to see Merry and Pippin hiding in a hollow a few feet away.
Hide here! Quick!
Come on!
Frodo looks at his friends, slowly shakes his head, a great sadness in his eyes.
What's he doing?
Merry's eyes meet Frodo's, understanding.
He's leaving.
No!
Pippin stands and makes a move towards Frodo. Merry grabs at his arm.
Pippin!
Merry and Pippin look up the slope where a cry rings out. They have been seen.
Run, Frodo! Go on!
Merry waves his arms at the approaching orcs.
Hey! Hey, you! Over here!
Hey!
Over here!
This way!
Merry and Pippin run, leading a pack of orcs. Frodo runs to the lake. Merry and Pippin is still running from the orcs.
It's working.
I know it's working! Run!
Merry and Pippin stop. More Uruk-hai approach from the other direction. They are trapped. Suddenly, Boromir charges up the hillside and blocks the stroke of a leading Uruk-hai. The echo of Boromir's horn reaches Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli. They are battling their way down the slopes towards the lake.
Gondor.
Boromir.
Aragorn desperately slashes his way towards Boromir, felling Uruk-hai in his path, while Legolas and Gimli fight a rear guard action. Many Uruk-hai fall to Boromir's sword as he tries to protect Merry and Pippin.
Run! Run!
Lurtz takes aim. A black arrow suddenly thuds into Boromir's chest. Amazingly, Boromir continues fighting, but another arrow and another bring him to his knees. Merry and Pippin are scooped up off their feet by Uruk-hai.
Boromir! Boromir!
Boromir! Boromir!
Lurtz aims his bow at Boromir's heart. Suddenly, Aragorn charges at him, smashing the bow with his sword. They lock in a deadly battle. Aragorn cuts Lurtz down and races towards Boromir, who lies slumped against a tree, Uruk-hai arrows sticking out of his chest. At least 20 Uruk-hai lie heaped around Boromir. His horn lies at his feet, cloven in two.
They took the little ones.
Aragorn quickly tries to staunch the flow of blood from Boromir's shoulder.
Frodo. Where is Frodo?
I let Frodo go.
Boromir holds Aragorn's gaze.
Then you did what I could not. I tried to take the ring from him.
The ring is beyond our reach now.
Forgive me. I did not see. I failed you all.
No, Boromir. You fought bravely. You have kept your honor.
Aragorn tries to bind Boromir's wound.
Leave it. It is over. The world of men will fall, and all will come to darkness and my city to ruin. Aragorn.
I do not know what strength is in my blood, but I swear to you, I will not let the White City fall, nor your people fail.
Our people. Our people.
Aragorn places Boromir's sword in his hand. Boromir's fingers tighten around the hilt.
I would have followed you. My brother. My captain. My king.
Aragorn lays Boromir down. He is dead.
Be at peace, son of Gondor.
Aragorn bends and kisses Boromir's forehead. Legolas and Gimli appear behind him. Aragorn stands.
They will look for his coming from the White Tower, but he will not return.
Exterior, the shore of Nen Hithnoel, day. On the lake shore, Frodo stands in front of one of the elvish boats, the ring in his palm. A distraught Sam, running as hard as he can through the forest.
Mr. Frodo!
Close on, Frodo, as he looks at the far side of the river, the camera moves in on the ring.
I wish the ring had never come to me. I wish none of this had happened.
Tears fall down Frodo's face.
So do all who live to see such times. That is not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to us.
With renewed determination, Frodo tucks the ring inside his vest pocket. The small figure of Frodo pushing the elvish boat into the water. Sam bursts through the trees and runs towards the lake. Frodo is already paddling away.
Not alone, Frodo. Mr. Frodo.
Frodo in the boat, paddling steadfastly away from the shore, tears in his eyes, the voice of Sam carried on the wind. Frodo whispers to himself.
No, Sam.
Sam looks at the water, then at the boat. Splash. Frodo turns to see Sam launching himself into the water.
Go back, Sam. I'm going to Mordor alone.
Sam splashes hopelessly towards the boat.
Of course you are. And I'm coming with you.
You can't swim.
Sam starts to go under, spluttering and coughing. Frodo drops his paddle and scrambles backwards in the boat.
Sam!
Sam is underwater, hands flailing helplessly as he sinks. Frodo's hand grasps Sam as Frodo pulls a bedraggled and half-drowned Sam into the boat. Frodo and Sam look at each other, out of breath, tears and water streaming down both of their faces.
I made a promise, Mr. Frodo. A promise. Don't you leave him, Samwise Gamgee. And I don't mean to. I don't mean to.
Oh, Sam.
Frodo starts to laugh through the tears. The two friends hug.
Come on, then.
The two hobbits row through the water. Exterior, the falls of Raros Ariel, day. Slow motion, looking down through the swiftly flowing water, Boromir's body slides under camera. He is lying in one of the boats, his arm across his chest, his broken horn at his side. Suddenly, the boat drops away from camera as if plunged over the massive falls of Rhoros, disappearing into the vapor below. The shores of Nen Hithnoel, day. Legolas pushes the last boat into the water.
If we are quick, we will catch Frodo and Sam before nightfall.
Aragorn looks towards the far shore. Frodo and Sam's small boat can be seen lying on the distant riverbank as Frodo and Sam make off into the forest beyond. He doesn't react. Legolas turns and looks at Aragorn.
You mean not to follow them?
Frodo's faith is no longer in our hands.
Then it has all been in vain. The fellowship has failed.
Not if we hold true to each other. We will not abandon Merry and Pippin to torment and death. Not while we have strength left.
Aragorn pulls a hunting knife out of his pack and straps it on.
Leave all that can be spared behind.
Close on, Aragorn, a steely light in his eyes.
We travel light. Let's hunt some orc.
Yes! Yes!
Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli disappear into the woods, following the Uruk-hai trail. Exterior, Emyn Muil Hilltop, day. Frodo and Sam scramble onto a high ridge. Wide on, a distant light of a sawtoothed mountain below a dark oppressive sky. A black volcanic smoke rises behind the mountains. Mordor. Angle on Frodo and Sam as they look with grim determination.
Mordor. I hope the others find a safer road.
Strider will look after him.
I don't suppose we'll ever see them again.
We may yet, Mr. Frodo. We may.
Sam?
Frodo looks at Sam with great affection. Despite the grim outlook, Sam is undeterred.
I'm glad you're with me.
Wide on, the two hobbits setting off towards Mordor. To be continued.